go live? I just press go live.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Yeah, that's the worst that can happen.
They've waited for like an hour, so.
Yeah. Hello, all you out there in internet land. I'm Super. Oh, this is not how I start the show. What the fuck am I doing? Hi, you're with Super Choffer. It's midnight. It's always midnight. This is your right ear and your left ear. We're talking in mono. I've got guests. Hooray! I've got Snood as a cat.
Hello, everyone. Snood here. Tonight, I have a great night of streaming lined up for you. But first, let's talk about the schedule.
Talkative cat. I've got Indrid is a real life human being.
I am. Hello. I was born on a day many years ago, and things were better then.
Back when things were better.
What's wrong with you?
I'm just kidding. Simple. I like life now. I'm having fun now.
What we're going to do is we're going to be doing a detractor-based Darksydephil tarot card deck. We look through the tarot cards. We learn about what, and thankfully I've got Snood Indrid to teach me what the tarot cards mean. Then we talk about what kinds of scenes in Phil's life could apply to the cards. We design a card in principle. We put it on the pin board, and then we're creating this list of designs. Eventually we're going to create the full tarot card set. We want other artists. Hello in chat. Big ups in chat. We want other artists to contribute maybe at some point. We need to work out our resolutions and where to send the pictures. So at the moment, we're getting the ideas together. It's going well. We did one episode last week and we covered our first suit. We did joysticks instead of sticks, and today we're going to be talking about the Pentacles. Before we get going, here's Darksydephil saying something random about tarot maybe that I just got off Big Pig Go.
The same tarot deck I had.
It's very quiet.
The tarot of the cat people, and she told my fortune using the exact same method outlined in the little book.
It's echoing through his neck phones.
I can't remember anything really specific about the readings,
not being
except there was
at all.
mention of something coming after me or something.
Actively looks disgusted.
If I remember
actually,
right, later we were playing with a Ouija board, and that something or someone was again trying to contact us.
What?
Unquote. These accounts would also
stunning insight once again from DSP.
And that's it. Yeah, that's all. I think that's all he said about the tarot bit in that section. So he gets going in a little minute, but I don't know if he's, if that's anything to do with tarot. So
this was written in 2003.
For more reacts like that, head on over to DSP Reacts.
At one point,
for those of you who don't know who DSP is,
anything that basically had been deleted
fucked
from
on
the internet at all, like old
that's him.
Posts.
He's an idiot, right?
That is him.
And those of you that do know him, you do know him. But yeah, big ups to my Mimp squad. Let me pop out the chat. I appreciate that a lot of people want Angry Alan at the moment. We've got a big video coming about Angry Alan this week. It has been uploaded and it is waiting YouTube clearance. So look out for that.
Can't wait. I'm waiting with bated breath for that. I'm genuinely so excited to hear that.
You don't know what it's got in it, do you? You don't know what I've put in it.
No, I don't. I do. And
I do. I saw it.
This isn't fair. Well, and you didn't tell me. And you didn't tell me.
Don't say
For those of you who
anything,
don't know, Nicole is my podcast partner who has betrayed
I just showed
me
it today,
for
just now.
perhaps.
Just before you came on the stream. You might notice we're missing somebody. There's a space here for a Steve of the Dead if he comes back to life. I think he's been working hard on his computer, and when computers export, you can't really use them for the other stuff, or he might have fallen asleep at the wheel. Like he stays up all night doing the editing sometimes. So that's cool. It's cool. Yeah, Dover and Dolly's one right. The thing is, with Darksydephil's volume, it's impossible to hear it because he streams at a very low volume. So that's that.
It's very rough.
Guests, tell me about how your week's been and what you feel and think and what your psychic vibe is coming into today's stream. Indrid, Snood. Indrid looks surprised, so I'll go with Snood.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you asked. Today, I thought I could start us off with something like a little concept that I learned about in the past week. I've been reading this book a little bit more, the Tarot Handbook, Practical Applications of Ancient Visual Symbols by Angelis Ariane. I don't know who that is. But I found the Tarot Profile methodology, and that's where you add up the your month, day, and year of your birth. So for myself, it's June 1st, 1986, which would be 6 + 1.
You just doxed yourself.
By giving I think everyone has at least one of those 365 birthdays. So I'm comfortable with fitting into one of the roughly 4 million people who roughly one of the billion people who have the same birthday as me, I think I'll be okay. Anyway, yes. So I did not dox myself as an old man though, so I appreciate that.
That's your password.
Anyway, 6 plus 1 plus 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 6
What?
is
What's
31.
wait, what's happening now? Suddenly
I
it
gotta
turned
add mine
into
up.
a maths puzzle. 6 plus 1 plus what? What's happening?
No, this is a real thing.
So June 1st, 6 1. Okay.
You add up in chat. You can do this as well. Add up your,
Yeah, by all means.
don't tell anyone what your birthday is.
Mine's 34.
So 6 plus 1 is 7, which because June 1st. 1986 is the year of my birth. So 1 plus 9 is 10, plus 8 is 18, plus 6 is 24.
So each wait. Each individual number one by one. So you don't go like because the date of my birth
Like
was
mine's 518. 5 plus 1 plus 8.
You stop saying your numbers. What?
Tina Fey has my birthday.
Right. You dox Tina Fey now. But my date of birth of the year is not 1982. No, I've doxed myself. No, everyone knows I'm old.
But you condense those numbers. So
but
you
it's
would
1
add,
plus 9 plus 8 plus 2.
Correct.
Why? Why isn't it not 1,000? I thought we got up to 1,000.
No, because that
This
doesn't
is
make
just how it's done.
because that makes no sense. Obviously.
Obviously.
I'm
Come
asking
on,
the
Super
questions.
Trevor.
1
So
plus
yeah,
9.
I'm. Go on.
This is fucking difficult. You got to add up all these numbers, yeah?
No, it's not.
I have
It is.
fancy. I used a device called a calculator, and the
That's
tarot
what I
told me
did.
that was okay.
So I've got days, months, years, no other numbers. Do I want my seconds or my time
No,
in the morning?
just that.
Just
So
that,
my
okay.
number adds up to 31. Okay.
He's saying numbers to me while I'm trying to add up now. He's fucking throwing me again. Wait.
Oh my God, why?
I'll help you through this. Scott. It's going to be okay. You give
Tom.
me the numbers, and I'll do it for you. Just
Okay, I've got my total number, but it's a two-figure number. So do I need to add those
Yes.
two together?
Yeah.
So wait, correct. Good instincts, good intuition.
What?
So you
madness.
do add those two. You do add those two numbers together. And in my case, the number is 31. So I add 3 plus 1, and I come up with
It's
4.
37. I mean,
And-
7.
4 gives me the number that my major arcana symbol is the Emperor. Just
Wait, what's 7?
Yeah,
7.
what's all of them?
7 is the Chariot.
Not chariot. Okay.
Okay, in chat, you've got a
I'm
number
very
36 and a 30. You're going to need to add those together. So the 30 is just a 3. The 36
Correct.
is a 6, 7, 8, 9 is a 9, right? And then you turn that upside down and it's a 6. And then
Correct. Yeah, you
Don't
divide
turn
by the
anything
number. You divide by the number of years. No, I'm just joking.
Oh my
no,
God.
yeah,
It's a very
So-
simple thing.
that's it. I've got a 3 as well.
basically-
I'm a 3 with Dover and Dolly's mom there. So yeah, get your numbers in chat and Snood will tell you what your cards are.
Oh
You know
my
what?
God.
How about a more efficient way to do this would be to go down the major arcana numbers and read their corresponding.
I don't know where I
There
would
we go.
to start and how. What numbers?
Well,
What?
I'm seeing a lot of
What now?
3s, and the 3 is the Empress, meaning something. So we can.
Yeah. Meaning something. Oh yeah, there is a look. It's got numbers. They're numbered. They're numbered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are numbered, so and they're always in the same order there. So what was the Empress? Now, and each of that like corresponds to some sort of like general quality too. So, for example, the Empress is related to nurturance, support, care, beauty, for example. So, taking the date of your birth will and adding those numbers and finding your tarot profile will sort of give you like a general idea of like the general qualities of what you as a person might represent through that tarot methodology. Okay, so for example, I said I was the Emperor. General qualities might include leadership, builder,
Yeah.
doer, pioneer,
Taking over
futurist.
around
Really,
here.
really good qualities.
So all of a sudden
surprisingly. I
he's
don't
in
know how that
charge
came
of
out
this
like that.
stream. So all of a sudden he's the leader, taking over. Got this prepared. I didn't know we were doing this. I understand. I see
Excuse me.
it. I
Sorry.
see it. Yeah, that's
I'm
right.
so sorry, everyone.
That's right.
But there's
Well, your card's
I just
right,
wanted
yeah.
to mention that there's one more thing that you can do, and you can take, instead of adding the numbers from your birth year, you take it from the numbers of the current year, and that'll give you an idea of what this year should represent to you in your journey, basically.
Okay. Can we talk about my card though? Because I'm the Empress, and that's official.
There you go.
Of Genshin Impact. She is the Princess and Vertland, and in her mind, she's created an entire world of fantasy and joy that she goes to disappear into. The subtext is that she may have been suffered some sort of abuse, but we don't know. She wears an eye patch, and she has a magical electro bird that flies around with her called Oz, and she talks to Oz all the
Sweet.
time.
That sounds pretty cool.
Sounds good to me.
That's the Genshin
God damn
Impact
it.
Tarot.
What level is she?
It depends what, if you level her up. Like my character, my official is not very highly leveled because she uses a bow and an arrow, and who wants to fire a bow and an arrow when you can hit people with a sword? So there
That's
you go.
true.
Absolutely true. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But more on the
I like
tarot.
that.
More on the tarot. You've got other people who've got their other numbers. So do you want to do one? We've got a few 4s in chat. Let's have a 4. Tell me about
4 is the Emperor, which I described.
You already told me about that, but I
earlier.
interrupted you while you were talking. So do you want to tell me again?
Well, that's the leadership builder, doer, pioneer, futurist. Some examples of like ancient / modern
Big head.
manifestations of that can be like kings, leaders, warriors, fathers.
What's Darksydephil?
Yeah, exactly. The Emperor, right? When I think of the Emperor, kind of gives me a picture of like what DSP would probably think. I sometimes I can't decide if we're making this deck as if we are DSP making this deck, so it should all be like positive aspects and how DSP sees himself in that, or if it's more of like a generalized, sort
Like
of
what
universe.
we see.
The DSP expanded universe. You know what I'm saying?
It's
Right.
what we
Okay.
want to apply to it. Yeah, it's certainly not
Yeah.
really a glorifying concept. I got some pictures of artificial intelligence this week. You did
Pretty.
one, didn't you? This is me. Look, that's me.
Ooh.
I look good there. But
You
also,
look like a
Yeah.
samurai right there.
but also artificial intelligence sometimes thought that I was female.
Ah!
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
Quite a good-looking girl, actually. Thank you. And
Yeah, you got like a 5 o'clock shadow though as a woman. That was interesting.
it did pick up a bit of the beard, didn't it? But it really
did.
feminized me a couple of times as well.
Whoa, that's pretty cool.
Ooh, neat.
And we did a play around.
Interesting.
Snood sent me a bit of artificial intelligence art that I don't know how to get on the screen, unless maybe I could tweet it. But do you want me to tweet it and then I can put it on the screen, Snood? Or
Yeah, by all means.
Oh,
go for it.
the cool Minecraft Hierophant.
yeah, because we
Yeah.
were making these cards yesterday. There goes my brain. Welcome to my brain.
There goes my hero.
Watching.
I got Midjourney to make an AI magician that I put to like an Atom Punk style, but one of the cards, it was very funny. It just said Mog Cock. So I'll send that to you too. It's very funny. It's actually pretty cool.
I tweet a load of rubbish. Look at that. Look at the artificial intelligence coming up with the pictures. Wow. So we've got lots of concepts that we're going to come up with today, and artificial intelligent art is good. We like it. We're quite, me personally, I'm quite open to it as a concept. I think what Snood was saying earlier is true as well. If you can take this and then you could work on it and do some more with it. But if there's any artists
Right.
out there who are thinking of contributing, all kinds of themes and options are open. I was interested to see the artificial intelligent art there. Yeah. Any other?
Super
Yeah.
interested to see anyone's
Indra, did you
submission.
tell me about what your psychic energy was like before we started today? Have you got any?
It's kind of just been a week for me. It feels like today is getting signs from the moon that today is very silly, and that we're gonna have fun, which I'm okay with.
Way more fun.
I just want to have fun.
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 I just want to have
Way
fun.
more fun. Don't know why I was trying in my brain,
Oh.
like the demon Phil behind the mask is like, oh Phil, you're having way more fun, and I try and like slow him down and like make the demon Phil.
I like the idea of sort of like more of a black metal Phil song. Dogs on the floor, we got dogs on the floor.
I like it too.
Sadly,
That's
Steve
pretty
isn't
good.
here.
Damn it.
Poor Steve.
Steve,
I heard he
help
got
with
caught
that.
in.
Oh my god, the one time Steve's not here too. Jeez.
Yeah, I heard he
Yeah,
got
we're
caught.
talking about metal Phil.
I heard he got his hair
Steve's a
caught in the pub.
Steve's a bassist, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Lame.
down to
Remember
earth.
that?
Very down.
The loser.
I've got a bass guitar upstairs, and I've got a
Oh, cool. I've always wanted. I'm completely musically uninclined. So, ooh,
Whoa.
mama.
got a little guitar. Look. Do a bit of that.
Interesting.
How do you know a
birds
guy's got a
happy?
guitar? Indra, I got a question for. How do you know a guy's got a guitar?
Oh shit.
Because
Oh,
you
he'll
heard-
tell you.
Do you remember
That's pretty good.
Do you remember when you would go to the parties when you were younger, and what would happen is like someone would get a guitar and they'd go outside, and then a small group would form around them, and you'd be like, "Hang on, that's separate party going on there. Don't think this is acceptable. You're gonna have to either come back in with the rest of the party, and then everyone would get a go on the guitar, but then one person, in my experience, would be the best one. And in our group, it was this guy called Stuart, and then so we'd all get a little go, but then it'd be like the Stuart gig. Like he'd be like, oh, so now Stu's on the guitar, and like you can't argue, you can't say let me have a go. I'm gonna like play my fucking, it's just awful. Me like following him, so he takes the head stage and then the stage, and then that's it, and the party's sort of ruined.
And then he starts treating people like roadies. Like, oh fuck, man, guys, my throat's really sore. Is there any like water? Does anybody hit like? And if you could like put like just a little, I'm sorry, like a little bit of lemon. I don't know. I've been singing a long time. My throat's getting a little sore, guys. I'll be back in like 5 minutes, guys. Okay, you guys just do whatever you want. I'll be back.
This is a little number by the Smashing Pumpkins that I like to call 1979. So what we're doing today, right? Listen, you chuffers. What we're doing today? You all right there? Having your little drinky?
Yeah, I swallowed something the wrong way. I'm sorry.
Folks,
your little drinky.
That's what she said, okay?
Have you all got your drinks and your snacks? I've got the soy chocolate.
I've got terribly fake flavored water. Oh, fuck.
If you're watching this on demand
later,
at a later date, make sure to like and subscribe, and make sure to, I mean, I'll just say that, everyone says that, but actually you should do that, because
you should, probably.
Really.
And then I want to
comment in the chat, why haven't we started on the tarot cards yet? What's going on here? I want to comment in chat. You're thinking it, I know you are. I see you out there. I feel your psychic vibe. Let's have your comment now. Get it out your system. Get it out your system. Prepare to enjoy yourself. All right. So we have tarot cards. We're going to do the Pentacles, aren't we? Who's going to tell me?
Yeah.
Who wants to tell Scotty Hottie? Who wants to tell Scotty what the Pentacles are all about and what their thing is?
Book is far more detailed than mine, and I would like to hear what it says.
Oh wow, way to put me on the spot.
We've got two different. I'll explain to the audience. Indrid's got the more classic tarot details, and then Snood's got like the dark arts of the evil Aleister Crowley, and we're combining the two concepts, throwing in our own feelings about
Crowley's
it.
Smart, though.
Indrid's the most psychic out of all of us, and then I don't know who's the second most psychic. Do you think it's you or me, Snood? How many ghosts have you seen?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I'm going to say you.
Me?
Really?
Yeah.
That was a psychic mind trick, and actually, it's me.
Psych.
Like, we've got our own. Like, this is going to sound really nuts, but if this is going to work, and it is going to work. For example, I've got these other boxes of cards here. Look. Right, these cards have got magic imbued into them, haven't they? In some way,
they do.
Through the process of construction, like we feel that when we use these oracle and divination decks, in some way our energies and there's a combination of the things going on. So like we're going to get some lovely cards at the end. They don't exist yet, but our energies right now are going to go into the creating of them. So whatever needs to be in those cards, like whatever. I can't, what I mean? Like whatever energies and like. The difference between Aleister Crowley's book and exactly.
Yeah, it's intent.
And the difference between Crowley's book and what Indrid's more classical interpretation, it doesn't matter. We'll choose what we think is right, and it will be the right thing because it will come from this energy. So I think that's a good way to. Yeah,
and that's a good way to look at it. Like a lot of times, it is about what the person who draws it feels about the card, and not what it actually means. I mean, that is a good guideline to be like, well, it means this thing originally, and then you can take it and interpret it your way.
So let's start taking and interpreting then. I want to hear, we have decided, haven't we, that we thought this was going to be coins tips. Someone in chat said
that's tips.
Beth said
Look at that.
No question.
It's a hand with money in it.
The pentacles and the discs represent abundance and wealth, prosperity, but even things like diet, nutrition, exercise are even facets of it, and even like creativity and reproduction. So really the idea behind Pentacles is the idea of growth and abundance and wealth, and that wealth can take many forms, right? Even in the idea that birth and reproducing human life, like that is something that can be seen as wealth or abundant.
Right. I see that. I can see it.
Indrid?
That makes sense.
You got anything in your
That
book?
makes sense to
Or are you
me.
just going to be like, yeah.
Sounds good to me.
It sounds good to me. It makes sense. I mean, it looks like money. But wealth also, that I can see, like, wealth is sort of what you make it, like family, love, knowledge, maybe. I don't know. Acquiring knowledge.
You
I
know,
got a
that's like
question.
one can be rich and wealthy separately, right? And those can mean different things.
You could
Yeah.
have really, like, a great big bowl of custard. Like, a really big bowl of custard.
But
Really
for
big.
Phil, it just means money.
But
Oh, it does.
but I mean, like,
Phil's rich in other ways. He's got a wife. He's got a Jasper.
things
he's
are
got a cat.
meaningful.
There's a,
Things are meaningful to him,
meaningful.
right?
and,
Right.
the support, your support, which tips
that's
are obviously
important,
the
too.
liquidity of my business.
It could be likes for him.
Yeah, likes,
Yeah,
all sorts of
It
Likes.
could be positivity. It could be support.
Views.
Views. Although I don't want to be Mr. Views, so don't call me that.
sponsorships.
Yeah, but actually I don't have any of those. But so I
did
need your
have.
money. But also I'm not in it for the money.
No, clearly not.
But I do
And
need
even
the
though
money.
I only made $15 last night, I'm not in it for the money, and I'm not mad.
I was having a great time, and this was a lot of fun. But guys, I can't keep doing this if I don't get the support.
I'll
like,
quickly
do you
say,
want me to do this?
big ups Dead School, big ups in chat. I didn't say everyone's name
Hey.
today. I usually like to start off by saying everyone's name. Dover and Dolly's mom, Judith,
yes.
Drama Llama, Gail, Misery Merchant, Snood. That's you. What are you doing in the chat, you nutter? You fucking nutter. I've read your name out now.
Multitasking.
ACW, we've got Beth, Andra Stars, a Wolf, big ups. If anyone does, tips are the liquidity of my business, and I do want to take money out of this. Like, I do want to
If
make
you
as much
want
money as
him to
possible.
keep doing this, give him your money.
I
But,
should
the
take the
tips link
opportunity
is in
to
chat.
not disparage asking for money online. That's fun and cool and positive.
It's so cool. It makes you look awesome.
I'm quite happy to say, at the start of the show, like, and maybe intermittently, here's the link. But I'm not going to badger you for the cash like Phil does. However, I do, I'm open and honest about it. I do want to make this into my, full-time job, and it currently is my full-time job. So the only difference is how much money I earn is based on the tippies at the moment. So, and eventually we'll get to a sponsorship, maybe, unlike Phil, because I'm not going to masturbate on camera and ruin every chance of sponsorship that I get. So
I bet
maybe
there were
that'll
some
take the
people that
pressure
would
off people
actually
in the
enjoy
future.
seeing that, though.
Okay, let's keep it appropriate, please, for the stream. Cold.
What?
OnlyFans.
There was one
This is not a
lady-
detractor beam
there
stream
was
where you
one
can just
lady
say
last
anything.
week-
There's some very proper and polite people in this chat who are not used to this grotesque sense of humor. So let's keep it let's keep it normal.
There was one lady
Please.
last week says it.
Sorry. So
Because it sounded like you said it then. It sounded like you wanted to see if he'd get me winky out. Winky, a big fat wonky, sorry.
You're wonky.
There's a couple of the mimps have actually started sending me the odd fruity message, and I'd like to shout out Andy this week. Every week I've got a different one to shout out, it seems, but this week Andy sent me a fruity not a direct message, but a tweet, just a fruity tweet. So they get fruity. I think it must be something to do with the full moon.
Full moon. Oh fuck, man! I looked it up. I'll just keep going. I'm gonna look
That's
it
the
up.
thing in the sky. It comes at night and it
I
controls the
know.
tides.
But
Oh
I
my
think
God.
that when the moon is in ripe fruition, so the lady's
Lunacy.
very much more fruity. They certainly are with me.
You ever thought of the word lunacy? What's the root word there, huh? Luna, moon.
And then
about it.
crazy.
Kind of like hysterectomy,
Lunatics.
where it's
Yeah.
like hysteria, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So the next full moon is July 3rd, by the way.
Soon, 2 weeks.
Oh, Judith, yeah,
Anyway.
Judith. Steve was drawing you pictures last week, wasn't he? No ginger jokes tonight. Oh,
He
shame.
was.
So we are talking about abundance. We're talking about wealth. We're talking about fecundity. We're talking about success.
Liquidity.
The liquidity of my business. We're talking about,
about
all
liquidity.
these sort of things, yeah? That's the vibe of the Pentacles, yeah? So if you draw a pentacle,
Yes.
it's about this sort of stuff. Last week it was about struggles and what was I saying?
Things.
Ones are about like one's spiritual self.
Okay.
You know, and basically like life and the struggles and so whatever the opposite of struggles are that you face in life, those are represented by the wands. And,
okay,
and
your trials
own
and tribulations. Yeah. And now we're on to more of a, like, this feels like, although it's spiritual, it feels like it's got much more of a touch in the real world, you know, how things play out in your life sort of thing. Whether like, you could have spiritual wealth, I suppose, couldn't you? You know, you could be
absolutely. And
have a
like
really
a fulfilling life is like a spiritual wealth, right? A life well examined and well considered is spiritual wealth, but also there's a very real version of wealth that comes from like success and like the desire to do well.
I've got these bishop robes for
Okay.
cosplay.
Nice.
So
Nice.
that's spiritual wealth, isn't it? Being the bishop, the main one.
I mean, that's pretty good. That's like as spiritually wealthy as you can get, right?
Yeah. Woo.
The Pope, right. So let me then draw us on to our first card. Well, the first card is the ace, isn't it? I already had a picture of it.
It is.
So what
It
is, we'll go around we've got a little setup where Ingrid's going to tell us the one, and then you're going to tell us the other, and then we're going to delve into Darksydephil's dirty, sordid past and draw out ideas.
It is
Sorry,
dirty
Phil.
in
Can
there.
I say this
isn't
as
it?
well before we start as well? If Phil ever watches this, we all give him a load of shit, don't we, all the time? And that's kind of fair enough because he's like doing the things that require people to hold him to account. And we have fun and all this. Like we talked about it before we started about being internet bullies, didn't we? Like, I'm not here really to be an internet bully, but these are the facts of what's happened in his life and the way he's behaved. And he's this example of bad behavior that people use to hold up to account, don't they? So.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, I won't take anything out of context here, and the only thing I have to go on is the things that you have shown us. So, what else? What else can I do?
I don't take anything out of context. It's just I'm not. That's what we don't do. So
And I think
we take
overall,
things in context.
the one thing I probably other detractors are going to hate me for saying this. Not everyone, but some detractors might think, "What's he saying?" But I think actually personally that if Phil listened a bit more, like, he's still got a chance. He's still got a chance. He could really sit down and have a good think about all this. He feels really attached. Talking about the money and the thing, he's attached to this system and process. He thinks he can't break away from it because then everything could crumble and fall around
Totally
him.
could.
And sometimes people need to take a step back from their lives and reassess and make a different choice. And it might be hard. Like when you restart and go on a slightly different path, you might not have as much money coming in on a day-to-day basis. But like, there's still a chance for Phil to change his lifestyle, his behaviour, his begging, his constant grifting, his manipulation, his 6-day-a-week streaming
habits.
schedule, his spending habits. Yeah, God, WWE champions, the thousands that goes in that.
His smugness for being in a position that he created is the thing that I largely have the smugness and the blaming of others is the thing that I largely hold him to task for. So, you know, not that I'm saying that I would ever feel positively about him if he changed something, because I genuinely just actually despise him, but you know, I've been proven wrong before.
Yeah.
I mean, I could think
Not often, but
I'm taking us down a random tangent now, but I could think that if he'd started a stream and said, look, you know, I took the day off and I'm actually taking a second day off, and me and Kat went to, like, I don't know, maybe someone died or we went to the church or something, and I had this sort of like feeling and this revelation. I just decided, I know what you mean. I've been fighting it all my life, but I do know what you all mean, and I'm just going to change. I'm just going to do something a bit different. And the first step towards that is I've decided to sign up to this homeless kitchen. So on my day off, I went and fed the homeless, and it really opened my eyes to how other people are living. And I just, you know, if he started talking like that, I would feel differently about him.
Skeptical, but if it kept happening, then maybe.
True that. I'd feel skeptical at first, true, but yeah.
I would say I've seen too many episodes of South Park to not know how this goes down. And I think if that, like, you know, maybe it's a juvenile comparison, but I think if there's one fictional character that I would really, really associate with Darksydephil, it would be Eric Cartman from South Park. Like, just, I can never, ever be sure of his intentions, because I think he would literally do anything to get what he wants. I mean, it's just a good thing that he actually is like such a simple person who only wants to eat fast food and like play mobile games, because otherwise he could probably be like really like, what's that?
Oh my God.
Mobile games?
Oh my God, he's drinking mobile games. Sorry.
Exactly.
I can't believe it.
So,
I just don't believe it.
oh my God.
Why am I not surprised?
I don't believe it. Oh my God.
So like as you know, the wands were mastery sort of like is like about the spiritual. Discs and pentacles are about the external or about the physical things. So you were kind of you were absolutely right when you said that earlier, Trevor, is that like physical mastery is what the pentacles, discs, that kind of thing represents. And again, it's like money is a physical thing, currency is a physical thing, right? You know, success can be measured, things can be measured. And like again, it's like even your body and health, like the queen of pentacles, for example, represents diet and nutrition.
Oh, we'll
so
get
like
there.
that. Okay. Yeah, that you might find that interesting too.
I'd like to throw up another aspect as well, which is that things in business, because Phil runs a business, bear in mind, he's not just playing games on the internet, he's running a business. You talk about capital, and a lot of people confuse capital with like an amount of money you've got in the bank. Like that's your money, but your capital is like the things you use to create. So you could be a machine that you use to, or it could be my Nintendo Switch is something like capital, because I use it to create on my stream. So I think Phil's got a lot of investment in capital, that you could say, in items and things, hasn't he? He's like bought a lot of stuff.
Does he? Does he?
Well, he's got like all the PlayStations. Like when the new PlayStation came out, he's got that. He's got a big telly. He's got 2 computers. Like one of them's a laptop. Like when you actually, like, I know that people think he doesn't invest in his business, but when you think about it, he's got, like, most of us don't have the Xbox and the PlayStation and a PC and a
and the Switch.
You know, and all. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I do, that is an excellent point. However, I think like, you know, a real business owner like intentionally like invests in their business, you know. I think DSP sort of just like, he knows that he needs at least one of each console and at least one computer and at least one microphone, and the rest is just kind of like very nebulous and uncertain to him. He's taking suggestions from all directions and he's just implementing them all together, and like it's a horrible mishmash. It's a horrible mishmash.
Yeah.
The LEDs with the ring light and the glasses and the hats and the vest and the boxes and the t-shirts draped over boxes.
Yeah.
I want to say something.
Mess.
Is that some of those things get sent to him as well, don't they? So maybe some of these pentacles, like, do you like when I put my hand up? Some of these pentacles, maybe, you know, because Phil got a lot of stuff sent to him from other people, but he's still got the stuff. So maybe there's something in that. I'm wearing a t-shirt today with a picture of a dog on it that says "Being Good."
Ooh,
Nice.
I love that.
Being good.
Feeling fine.
Mine's just a vape shop around here, so.
I don't have my Tippy's link on stream. No.
That's the lamest shirt.
Where's my Tippy's link? Do you want that? Someone's requested it. I mean, I usually have it on stream, don't I? So I might as well.
Oh, yeah,
Tippy's
might
link.
as well.
And I put a new Tippy's button today, so if you Tippy, you get a tarot-based thing. Well, I'm not going to show it you unless you're tipping. Right. So anyway, let's get into the Ace of Pentacles then. Go on, Indrid. Give me the lowdown from the high ground.
This one's fairly short. I'll just read the whole thing. A hand issuing as usual from a cloud holds up a pentacle. Divinatory meanings: perfect contentment, felicity, ecstasy, and also speedy intelligence. Gold. Reversed: the evil side of wealth, bad intelligence, also great riches. In any case, it shews prosperity, comfortable material conditions, but whether these are of advantage to the possessor will depend on whether the card is reversed or not. So it's like a either or.
So yeah, but it's
what did they say about the card being reversed or not?
The bad side of it, like greed and malice, and I invented some words there. But
right.
Like, I don't know, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So in any case, it shows prosperity, comfortable material conditions, but whether these are of advantage to the possessor will depend on whether or not the card is reversed. But that's under the... never mind. Dumb. All right. It's under the reverse side, so it's like, well... what?
I don't know if I mentioned this to you yesterday or the last time we did the stream, but I found that often your inversed or reversed positions were the actual things that were written in my text here. So I wonder again if I've found some sort of like dark occult version of tarot, and you've got like the nice version.
You're reading Aleister Crowley's
Dramala
book.
sent tippies. Show me the tarot-based thing, lol.
Nice. Ooh.
Super chuffer
Positive animation.
hugs.
We can
That's
change
pretty
that if
good.
you want, if it's not good enough, but that's a tarot
I,
based.
like it.
I love it. I love that you owe 3.00 hugs. I hope we don't have to do any. I hope we keep those to round numbers, please, folks.
Well,
yeah.
Aleister Crowley is kind of a scary dude.
Yeah, Alistair's a
He's
bad man.
very interesting. He's not a great guy, but like hearing the definitions and stuff from your book is very interesting.
Did they teach you about Aleister Crowley in school in the UK?
Not in school,
Is
but he's famous in the UK. Like, he's British, isn't he? And a nutter, like a full-on magic nutter, bad magic nutter, black magic nutter.
He's a
Like,
weird dude.
He's an occultist. Sounds cool.
yeah, but not
Big
like in a
time.
nice way, like not like in a tell your fortune way, in a sort of scary, like you wouldn't leave your children with him way. He was known
Yeah.
like he's, you know how Charles Manson has this mystique about him, but Charles Manson didn't actually do any specific crimes. It's the people around him did bad things.
Yeah.
I feel
see.
he's a bit like that. I don't remember him ever being like, you know, put in prison for anything specific, but like dangerous, dark arts, like. And I think at the time, you know, we didn't have such a grasp on the realities of life, and it was at a time when people wanted to investigate this sort of Far Eastern black magic, you know, stuff like that. And he kind of represents a Satanist sort of style thing, yeah.
He created Thelema. You know what Thelemites are?
Tell us.
Nope.
All right, let me see.
Do you?
I do, but I just want to get it like the definition right. Adherent to Thelema are called Thelemites. And phenomena within the scope of Thelema are termed thelemic. Crowley identified himself as a prophet of a new era of humanity's spiritual development. In novel age, he termed the Aeon of Horus. It's weird.
It's interesting.
Like, I don't.
The Aeon of Horus is interesting for those of you who are interested in the Warhammer 30K lore. Horus is a heretic who turned a bunch of space marines against the Emperor. But I also I just looked up that Crowley died in 1947, and for those of you who don't know, between the years.
Gail sent tippies.
Big up, Scale.
You make my days happier. Red heart. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Oh,
Thanks,
wrong.
Scale.
Super chuffer owes 3 hugs.
Thank you.
I'm cashing in those hugs one day. But
Nice.
Crowley died in 1947, and World War II kind of led up to 1945. And for those of you who don't know, some of the Nazis towards the end of the war were really looking into more of the occult side of things to really try and get one over on the Allies, because nothing was working. So, as you do, you turn to the occult in your moment of direst need. But even the occult doesn't want anything to do with Hitler, right? So.
What it says here is that he was a noted, sinister, and controversial occultist who wrote widely, founded his own religious order, and designed a set of tarot cards that are still used today. So, yeah, you've got his set. And it also says a mountaineer, poet, theologian, black magician, spy, drug fiend, sex addict, and traitor to the British people.
What a guy!
So, yeah, he's known as
Sounds
the wickedest
base.
man in the world
Yeah.
and a master of darkness.
He does.
So, what I think that's really good is that you've got, like, we're going on the light side, Phil stuff, but of course, who's the man that we're talking about? Darksydephil. And what did he call himself? Darksydephil, didn't he? So, like, the dark side of things being a big,
King of hate.
important voice here, the king of
King
hate.
of
Yeah,
darkness.
it just totally fits. That's why it happened that way, isn't it? That's it seems like it was meant
Almost
to be.
as if it was intended to be that way all along.
Right. Like,
Which
it'll
it-
happen again.
Which it wasn't.
If
But,
you...
but it works, and that's how this esoteric magic works, isn't it? Is you don't necessarily know exactly how your hand is being guided, but it has been guided, and here we are.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's true.
what's the dark side of the Ace of Pentacles then,
Synchronicity.
Snood? What have you got from your end?
So the Ace of Pentacles is it's sort of like it's success that is both experienced externally and internally. So like when you pull this card, it's like an indication that you're no longer willing to support the dichotomy of experiencing internal success and not external success, or the other dichotomy of where you experience external success but not internal success. Interesting. So it's like two sides of a coin, I guess, in a way of like, it's either that like you have manifested a deep sense of success deeply inside as well as externally, or you have only manifested success in one, and now you are being like sort of driven to provide the balance to both of your successes. The ace represents the opportunity to experience internal and external success that's manifested equally. It also indicates that this experience could manifest in the months of Capricorn, Virgo, or Taurus, interestingly enough. When you draw this card, it's an indication that this gift of practical organization and manifestation is able to be used and drawn upon for the next year. That's very specific. I don't recall seeing it get so specific in other places. That like giving you like a specific time frame of when it's like can be manifested in.
So what I'm reading here then, what I'm hearing is that if I drew this card in a reading, I'm getting the traditional reading being perfect contentment. I'm literally reading this now. Ecstasy. Right. So it's like a really good thing, and it means like top bins, since it's connected to physical financial manifestations or other forms of wealth. It means whatever we're talking about on the reading, top bin's going to go really well. You're going to see all the rewards for it, and it's going to happen well and quickly. The reversed or the sinister side that Snood's bringing in is that there may be a payoff in that you have everything you want. Like, I've got all the riches in the world, but I don't have my family, and I'm not happy because there's like you said, or it is an internal struggle. Maybe I'm confusing about that.
It could be either. It could be either. There's a dichotomy there, and the drawing of that card indicates that you're no longer satisfied with that dichotomy. So you're being pushed to have your external self reflect your internal self, or vice versa.
Okay.
So meaning it's like time for a challenge. But it also does indicate, like in its upright position, it does also say that it indicates the union between the spiritual and the physical aspects of life, radiating the higher aspect of oneself and bringing it into physical manifestation. So when you get this upright, it means that that's like where you are currently. And if it's reversed, there is a change coming or a challenge that's going to be presented to you that must be manifested by bringing your external and internal selves into equality, basically.
Okay. I like that. I like
over
it.
My head. That's over my head. Indrid, how do you feel this fits in? Go ahead. Carry on with what you're going to say.
I was going to say, I think this one's fairly simple as to how it relates to Darksydephil. Okay? It's his hands like this, like, give me money. Give me money.
I would agree with that. I would say that the thing that should be in his hands, though, is the Wolverine figure.
Ah, yes.
Right?
Oh, that's
which
so
sort of
good.
represents like his his external wealth around him did not come and like satisfy that internal wealth. The thing that he wanted the most as a kid was that he like and we're like, obviously I'm exaggerating a little bit because this is like, this is sort of like a story that like detractors all know, and like it's not like he maybe actually feels this way, but in the canon he's told this story and it seems to have left a really, really strong impression on him, right? And like in such a way as like even when he doesn't have the exact Wolverine figure.
Allow me to just quickly, for anyone who doesn't know, his parents, they're out shopping. He came across a Wolverine figure. I want this figure, Mommy. Mommy said, no, look, you have it at Christmas or whatever. Put that back. And he said, listen.
Didn't get it.
Listen, though. If you buy it now, you can give it me at Christmas. But if you don't buy it now, I don't think I'm going to be getting this at Christmas. I think it might just slip through my fingers. And lo and behold, who was right, who was wrong? Christmas come round. If I was his parents, I would have deliberately not bought it at Christmas just to make the point.
Yeah,
just to,
exactly.
But the time came around, and he was never with this Wolverine never came into his possession, and to this day he is bitter about it, and he contests that his parents were foolish not to have bought that at the time, and he missed out essentially.
It's just stupid, basically.
Yeah.
There's one aspect of it. There's like to me that's a really important thing that really reflects DSP, is that the reason that he wanted that particular Wolverine is because it's what's called the chase figure. And it's not just the classic 90s Wolverine that you might remember with the yellow and blue.
Yeah.
It was his comic book version, which instead of blue, he's brown. right? And like back in the day when they did action figures and stuff, they still do it probably, but like back in the day, it'd be like they'd manufacture, let's say 9 yellow and blue ones, and there'd be 1 yellow and brown one that got sent with a box, right?
Oh, like that?
And so again, this is like 90s era gotcha, basically. And except the gotcha is, are you cool enough to wait outside the Toys R Us at 7:55 a.m. to get the masterpiece, the one masterpiece Starscream that's going to be coming in with the next Transformer shipment that you've been calling the store for days and days and days ahead of time, asking them when the next masterpiece Starscream shipment is going to be.
Very specific there. Yeah, so you feel that this Wolverine figure best represents this Ace of Pentacles?
I mean, that's what's come to my mind. I think, and again, you know, I'm looking at some other things here, and that's just the first thing. But I'm looking at some things here that are saying things like, you know, the qualities of being grounded, practical, and organized. You know, not spacey.
Okay.
Success on all levels of experience, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. You know. In its good status, this is like success personified. Basically.
I got a question. Right? I understand where the Wolverine comes in. I saw the emblem of the Pentacle. I didn't ask this. I should ask this. Right. I see the emblem of the Pentacle. We said it was going to be. We were going to change Pentacles to tips because it's like a coin, isn't it? We're going to, and it like it references tips and all that. I see the emblem as looking like a coin, so I don't know whether we needed to change it to look like a tip symbol, or whether one of his animations or whatever best represents the tips or the goals or something.
Dollar sign.
A dollar whatever sign, the symbol for bits on Twitch is.
Oh yeah.
But so that all seems to make sense to me a bit. I've got a question before we move off into that though. What are the Pentacles and why the Pentacle? Has anyone got anything for that? Because I always thought it looked a bit like a bad witch symbol, or like a you know.
That's it's
a pentagram, right?
Right.
What's that about?
It's a 5-pointed star.
Isn't that what I'm being really naive here? But when I see the movies, that looks like the bad devil magic, and I'm surprised that it's a good thing on the coin.
It doesn't necessarily mean bad things.
No. In fact, the star is only meant to signify the actual like pentagram shape inside, and you know, penta means 5 and 5 sides, and I guess like you can think of those 5 sides. I guess there's only 4. I'm trying to think. There must be like some 5th thing that's escaping me right now, but I believe because the 5 sides of the pentacle are supposed to represent like sort of the union of your entire like spiritual, emotional, physical, mental, and self well-being, like all 5 of those things together in a way.
Don't they draw this thing on the floor when they do the bad magic?
It's associated with like Baphomet and stuff, which people also think is bad, but it really, the Baphomet, like, you know, he's pointing up and down. It just really represents good and evil, basically.
What's Baphomet?
So it's not bad.
Baphomet. I've heard Baphomet. He's
Baphomet.
He's the goat. He's the goat fella. He's got rocking tits.
Yeah, he's got some boobies.
He's often the representation of Satan.
So that's where I'm getting.
It's not really.
Yeah, but not really. Like.
Okay.
No.
He's chill.
Yeah,
and he's also in a lot. Like, I believe there's a character. There are enemies called Baphomets in Ragnarok Online. If you remember that game.
I think that's irrelevant. Okay.
Oh, here we go. Misery Merchant said 5 points. The elements and the spirit: earth, fire, water, air, spirit.
There you go.
There you go.
Big up Misery Merchant as well for suggesting Ace of Pentacles is like DSP having the idea to start his YouTube career. I think he started that when the helicopter company went under, so there's like a negative that leads into it. So maybe it's not the best wealth moment for him to start it, but it definitely came out in some sort of way. I can see here, right, like you said, Darksydephil's hand, the begging. I can see that. I agree with Indrid, and then I can see what you're saying.
Hairy wrist and knuckles.
Yeah.
Plop
just
that.
like all the way up to his hand, just hair.
You could definitely plop that on top of it, like the Wolverine figure. Like I can see that as well. Like that can make sense as a card. I'm just wondering whether, and I don't know about this part underneath as well, where it's got a bit of bushes, whether that's important or not. But
the specific imagery isn't always important, like when it comes to these things, because they can be different across many different
it is for us.
Yeah, you interpret it.
Like, for example, what I see, like that my deck is just a single coin. surrounded by 4 angel wings.
Okay.
And the wings represent the levels of experience, mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical.
I'm going to keep me decay.
I thought one thing that just kind of struck me. I know that there's how like Twitch has those little gems that when you send bits, they and they scale up based on how much you send. There's like a 5-sided one, if I'm not mistaken. There's like a 5-pointed bit.
I think there is.
It would make sense to have that here.
That would be good.
If
have the bit floating above his hand and like 5.
I mean, we talking about the suits, we could think of it as like the ace of bits, right? Or
the ace of bits.
The ace of support.
Yeah.
Does that because I appreciate that the wealth and the support, they go together, is the pinnacle. Like, this card to me feels like it is the pinnacle of all. Like, if I was to be talking, like, let's try and if I took it in a different context, right? If I was doing a Monopoly based tarot, then this would be like Park Lane with a hotel on it. Yeah, it would be like the best. Am I right or wrong in saying that? Or,
that's some newbie Monopoly strategy, I'm afraid, my friend. But I understand. I understand what your sentimentality is. I understand what you mean by
it's
that.
like the best of. Like, are we saying that when we get 10 pentacles, it's even better because we've got 10 of them, or is this the best one because it's the ace? Do you know what I mean? It's like the most shining, best, perfect, ecstasy, gold, treasure, like all these words that are coming out on the thing. And so, should it be in some way representative of Phil's like highest ever tip or greatest ever like biggest value?
Oh my god, it'd be that $2,000 tip.
It's whatever Phil feels like success is. Like to me, this is like the concept of success and being ready to succeed.
It could be it could be a hand holding glasses, hat and a vest.
I mean I mean, I don't want the vest to show up in everything, but the vest is definitely, the vest streak was definitely like something that he really held up as like, I mean, the vest, I'm now looking at the pentacle, the pentagram right there and seeing like a vest hanging off the 2 arms, like as if the pentagram is wearing the vest.
Oh my
Wolverine
god.
can be wearing the vest. Wolverine can be also wearing the vest, can't he?
That too. Wolverine in a vest is an interesting idea because again, like that could also have the representation of the inverse of like the what success like might mean to Phil, getting the things that he wants.
The Wolverine thing, it represents this anything I want whenever I want it, doesn't it? It was this spiteful child, spoilt child moment. So I could see that this represents that to Phil in that way. It's also very deep in his childhood and lore, whereas like the wider concept of bits or tips or something is much more overarching and a continuum for him. So I think there's something there in both of those things. I feel, when we're doing these cards, sometimes I feel like, yes, that's exactly it, and other times I feel like, oh, I'm in the ballpark and I'm like, I'm in the shop, but I haven't quite tried on the right dress yet. Do you know what I mean?
There are no wrong answers, my friend. There are no wrong answers here. This is all about intuition and intention. And we are enjoying ourselves in a beautiful Tuesday.
Fucking in charge again, you. Fucking telling me about what the answers there are and how we're feeling. I'm telling you how you're feeling on my stream, you chuffer. You're having a good time. I'm telling you, you're having a good time. If anyone,
sorry, yes, I am having. I did want this. I wanted this.
Fun. Fuck.
Sorry, this is the Emperor coming out in me again. You didn't tell me what your number was, by the way. I know you did. You're Empress, I think.
I'm the fucking.
What
I'm
did
your
you say,
wife.
Ingrid? What was your?
I'm your
Chariot.
fucking wife.
Oh, Chariot.
Ingrid's our car.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm the car. That's great.
I'm the boot.
Okay.
And you're the top hat. Ingrid's the car.
I'm the cannon. I play the cannon of the battleship, or I don't play. Okay.
I've got
Sound
the
good?
Genshin Impact sword, so
Ooh.
What is? Good lord.
it's Genshin Impact sword.
It's
so
pink.
it has to be.
I
It's
mean,
the
nobody else can see
Smittery
this,
Forge.
but the only thing that I have is this little thing.
That's great.
It's a sword.
It's a fucking sword.
He's got a tiny little sword. So, Ingrid, have you used Sans sword? Unfortunately, you need to get a chopper. next week.
Well,
wait.
art imitates life. Hello.
I've got a vape. I'll stab.
Bash somebody in the head with that. Okay, let's go back to Phil. In chat, you've got a couple of you that know about Phil. Has anyone got any ideas? fill-based ideas. It would be nice. I should shout this out to any detractors that are watching down the line. It'd be nice to have a few more of you here, you chuffers, to help create this. And you can always put your ideas in the comments as well. If it's a bit late, we can always revise some of these ideas and mix and match a bit later. And I do appreciate that there's a lot of detractor content, and sometimes we have to go up against, like, I think King Jad's streaming right now, which is a disappointment to me because I always watch that. So it's a shame, but there's only a certain amount of hours in the day
right now.
Yeah, this is only a certain amount of hours in the day, though, so I appreciate if everyone can't be here right now live, but I'd still like to have your ideas, you chuffers. So how are we feeling on this Ace of Pentacles? Have we got any other feel-based... Like, for me, I don't know why, but I'm seeing, like, it would be... Wait. Has it got a YouTube play button? Does that count?
He does have a silver play button, yes.
Does he make much of that?
That could work.
Until recently, he never like put it up. He just he basically put it away somewhere. Out of like what I think is like a little bit of an embarrassment that it's not like a gold or a platinum button. I don't know what you need to get those things, but like
you need $1 million to get gold.
Charisma.
Yeah. And I think 5 million to get platinum. You need charisma, exactly.
Got him. Yeah, he has a YouTube play button, but he doesn't like to show it off for some reason. I mean, we could the certificate from the helicopter company. Maybe he successfully completed that. But that got him. But then he got fired.
Ace certification.
Mm-hmm.
The Ace of Tips.
Ooh.
Yeah.
The Ace certification of tips.
That'd be good.
Oh, I love that.
I like that.
I feel like these ideas can conglomerate a bit. I think we need to sort of like, this needs to represent multiple things in some ways, doesn't it? Like,
again, we're just putting ideas out there right now.
To the artists' heads.
It's like it's up to your intuition. We shouldn't belabor,
Well, last week we had a specific, most of the cards, in fact, nearly all of them, we had a very specific thing that we wanted on them.
True.
For example, the Ace of Wands, we had the incident. Like, we want a picture of the incident. And the Four of Wands was the Project 7 lineup. So like, it feels like we should be able to nail this one. We can always come back to it a bit later once we've gone through more of this suit. So as not to stall.
Just because it's my idea, I can't help but being fixated on it. I love Wolverine. I love the vest. I think
like all of it.
Wolverine in the vest being held by a hairy-wristed hand with a Sylvano thumb. That's like just make the thumb 3 times as big in this picture, and that's DSP's hand.
I also
like
feel
all
that
of the fingers just very fat
and chewed.
I've got to throw up another couple of concepts, right? In some way, if this can be conveyed, like at the bottom, we've got this little bit of foliage or whatever, like this bit of scenery. Maybe we could in some way convey that this item is being purchased or bought in some way, like maybe that's something to do with a shop, because he likes spending the money and buying the things, doesn't he? And that whole concept of consumer.
Maybe the Seattle skyline, sort of representative of the move to Washington State and the purchase of like a house with a wife, because that at the end of the day, that's also like a metric of success for him, is the happy wife, happy life, house. That's all it takes, and then you just die after 40 years of streaming.
Yeah, I like that.
And it does sort of show. It depicts. I'm going to just make this picture a bit smaller, but you get to see more of it. It depicts the.
Oh, there you go.
Like in the distance, there's like a mountain behind. It like predicts. It shows a future. Like shows a path to a future in a positive way.
It looks like a hedge, right? It looks like you're sort of just at the point where you're about to cross the threshold.
Yeah.
Into your new life.
Into something positive, because the sky is like, you can see the sky is. I'm just going by the imagery here, so this is not like official, but like you can see the sky is gray everywhere above the hedge, but through the hole you can see the sky is blue there, right?
I see that as a mountain.
So, interesting.
Oh,
see, I see that as the cloudy sky that is after you cross the threshold into what you choose to be successful at. The blue skies will be.
And the sky is clear.
Blue skies are gonna clear up. Put on a gouty face.
Put on a happy face.
And the other thing I wanted to throw up in a juggling ball sort of way is that what was it? There was another thing. So I shit my old brain. We've got Wolverine in a vest held up by a hand. The concept of purchase. The concept of.
I mean, it could like at the bottom. It could just be like aisles in a store, or
Ooh, grocery store.
Yes!
That's hilarious.
That would be great.
But again, try to think of these things of like the idea of being grounded and organized and What else?
That is
here?
part of his like adult life, though, is that
Yes.
schedule of going shopping once a week, or
Maybe the schedule could enter into it somehow. Hey, like because him laying out his schedule shows you how busy he is and therefore how successful he is, right?
yeah.
Like
I'm not-
I have
not
all these
quite
meetings
feeling-
to attend.
I guess, but like
I have
perfect
no time.
contentment, ecstasy. I suppose he does. If he was if in Phil's perfect world, he is talking about his schedule and people are listening. Like that is part
Yes.
of it, I suppose. But there's another thing I wanted to juggle up in the air as well, which I can't believe we didn't mention. Hogan's, like the gold Hogan, you know, perfect contentment. Is that, or does it not? Is it a bad thing that he's pouring this money into this card game?
Well-
That's a waste. Does it? Do you think that putting a gold Hogan represents wealth or a waste of wealth? Discuss.
Both, for because like I think it represents wealth for him. But what's interesting is the 6 stars, which I guess will come up with the 6 of Pentacles or whatever. But that's what I was thinking. Now
Oh,
it's
that's
ruined my
hilarious.
idea.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, we could get to that. Yo, Steve of the Dead,
oh.
big ups.
Look, who's that? Who's this?
No, I don't see
You
anyone.
can come in. You
Oh my
can
God.
join in if you want.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm
there
sorry.
he is.
I'm so sorry again, Scott. Never mind. Sorry, ignore me.
Nor you. You're in the stream talking to me.
We were just. I know. I was just saying, come on in, Steve. Like it's my show again.
Come in, Steve.
Come on in. Don't mind. Get this chopper
Yeah.
off the screen. There was you were. I'm so sorry. I have ADHD and I instantly forgot what we were just talking about.
That's okay.
Yeah,
We're
no,
talking about
let me do a quick
Hogan's, I think.
timeout. Steve says that's the update being posted on Twitter. I don't know what that means necessarily, but you said about
me
die
either.
spam. Are you, Steve? You you can join us now, and it doesn't matter, like, you know, or you don't have to. If you don't
Druggy
feel
Steve
up
might
to it.
help.
So
Oh,
you tell us.
diazepam.
You tell us whether you want to join in
Gotcha.
or not, and then I'll, you know. At the moment, my attention is pointed directly towards: am I getting Steve on the stream now or not? And then
Let's
I
all
can
start.
divert my
Maybe we
attention
can
away and
chant
stuff.
his name a little bit. Steve.
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 Steve. Steve.
Steve.
Steve.
Steve.
Steve.
Steve.
Steve.
Steve.
Steve.
Steve.
Steve. Did he? He hasn't arrived.
Apparently, so there is.
He hasn't
an
replied or
interesting
arrived. So
thing about
Didn't work. What are you
there's
saying?
an
just
interesting
tell me
thing
now.
about Phil
Oh,
though.
yes. Still fuzzy
I
sitting
will
out.
send
Okay, no
this-
problem. No problem. Okay.
Yeah.
I will send this to you guys.
But Steve can still
There's
contribute in
something
chat.
that
Yeah.
there's something that
Please do.
there's something that Fraga caught on
Oh boy.
stream. You can kind of see Phil's arm in the background, and it sort of looks like he's jacking off a little bit.
I don't want to see.
What? You can't see
Obviously, I'm clicking
everything.
on it, but like, time and place, please.
What's this got to do with
What?
anything, Ingrid? Why did you want to bring
Well,
this up?
he said that's the update on Twitter, so I went
Oh,
and
I
checked.
see.
It was
There's-
the first thing I saw.
That's the okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was just something to do with pentacles.
No, I sent it to you both on Discord if you're very...
Pentacles.
Discord. How many windows do you want me to open?
Oh.
You nutter.
I don't know.
Um,
I don't know. It's interesting.
Bit of a reach. Bit of reach is my
It
my
is-
call on that. A bit
I
of a
know.
reach is my.
A bit of a reach.
That's no.
Uh.
That's not. That is not a euphemism for jacking off. That shows how little you know, Ingrid. Stop
A
it.
bit of a reach back and forth, you know?
No,
Like that?
that's not a euphemism. Anyway, you were saying that like, is a golden Hogan representative of success? Look at that.
just a little part of his arm there. So yeah, don't
Yeah,
worry.
so
That's
just
time
watch
sensitive.
the 5.
Don't worry.
Oh, sorry. No.
Yeah.
He's not jerking. I know what jerking it looks like. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, success to DSP in terms of WWE champions is not getting the golden Hogans, because none of that matters because he's got the money to get that no matter what. The success comes from being in that top 100 on that leaderboard, showing that I spent the most money. I don't know if anybody here has ever been involved in mobile games or games that involve purchasing things
Mobile
to
games.
get mobile games, but you'll see a lot of people will like I saw this in like some of the leaks from his like Discord servers that he was in for WWE champions, but people will be like, wow, Down from the Rafters 92 is a very generous. His wallet is very open. And I think that's kind of what DSP wants. He wants people to like thank him for spending money.
Mm-hmm. I think that's yeah.
I've got a
You're right.
couple more
I just
questions.
saying that out loud, I just thought that was disgusting.
I've got a couple more questions.
What?
Sure.
One is now Steve's in chat as well. Like I'm still thinking, what is Phil's perception of the pinnacle of wealth and prosperity and all this. Like if he could, like to some people it might be a BMW, like I'm going to buy myself this certain car, or you know, like this symbol of success. I'm wondering if Phil, in his perception, like what he would put on the card maybe is like, you know, what sits in that hand as the pinnacle.
And bear in mind that this is a very physical idea of success too, because it is success on all levels of experience.
It's
right?
not interior success,
nor is it spacey, nor is it like a you know, sort of like a nebulous idea of success. It's like something tangible, basically.
It's like we've got a couple of different choices here, haven't we? Like, I think YouTube play button goes in the mix. I think Wolverine goes in the mix. I think tips symbolised by this bits and stuff like that. That goes in the mix. I feel instinctively that the Golden Hogans, seems to be. Steve likes the Wakando, and we
that's
like this area
Seattle
of the
skyline.
card here having Seattle in it, so we can work that in for sure.
And bear in mind that, like, you know, these sorts of things can have lots of imagery in them, right? Like, it's not just.
I suppose this card's quite bare, but ours could be busy. Yeah.
Exactly, and there could be like a lot going on. And it could be very subtle, right? Like a lot of. Like, for example, like some cards, especially in the major arcana, like the Magician, for example, are like holding the Wheel of Fortune, or they have like many of the other cards in their art represented by in some way. So like there's a lot of little things, and like detractors are wont to do. It's the little things that are important here. That's an amazing hat. I love that.
That's great. That's disgusting.
Adrian, where do people send the merch and gifts to Detractor Beam? By the way, you got that? You go. What's the PO box address you set up for that?
We don't have one.
Oh,
but I could
not
get
set one of those up. Okay.
No, not yet.
People will send you like tots of jam and shit. You have jelly. It's called jelly in America. They'll send you little tots of jelly.
Yeah. I mean, we have jam too.
Yeah, we have both.
Yeah, but you're confused about which one's what.
Me.
So we haven't decided, because you're North America, you don't know your jam from your
from my marmalade.
Le marmalade.
My marmalade.
All right, look. Anyway, what the fuck is in this hand? I still can't get a real read on what the pinnacle of all wealth for Phil is necessarily, but it's somewhere in this range of things we've said, isn't it?
Yeah. I think we should go on to the number 2.
Yeah, let's go on to number 2. Maybe we'll come back to this.
Let's move on.
But we definitely forwarded a lot of good
go.
ideas. I've just closed the window, which has completely fucked me up. So
Hey, look, it's Jet.
Yeah, don't watch that. Watch this, you chuffer. This is Cockles. You don't know why Cockles are on the screen, but nor do you have to. So we're going to lose the Cockles, and instead we're going back to the tarot.
Oysters, clams, and cockles.
The Two of Pentacles. I'll do a description. I like reading descriptions. A young man in the act of dancing has a pentacle in either hand, and they're joined by that endless chord, which is like the number 8 reversed. Something to do with infinity, then, eh? Indrid, fill me in on the divinatory meaning. The real good nice
on
meanings.
one hand, it is represented as a card of gaiety. I'm not really sure what that means.
Joy.
Recreation. Okay. Recreation and its connections. That's
that means connections, but they spelled it like.
All right. Connections, which is the subject. They spelled it with an X, which is the subject of the design, but it is read also as news and messages in writing, as obstacles, agitation, trouble, embroilment, and reversed, enforced gaiety, simulated enjoyment, literal sense, handwriting, composition, letters of exchange. This is interesting, though.
Yeah,
The reversed.
I've already got ideas forward in my mind. Stu, tell me what.
Me too.
What your darker arts are telling us.
The art from my book is similar, but it's different. And the cord that joins the 2 pentacles is actually like an Ouroboros snake, which is
cool.
a snake eating its own tail, of course.
Yeah.
And it is supposed to symbolize like physical transformation and physical change. So when you're drawn to this, you're in the middle of a major transition that's going to bring new expansion and balance into your external life and your physical experience. This is advice to go with the flow and not to fight it, as change is just going to happen. Sort of like I think that's the significance of the infinity there, is that like infinity, you can't really fight change. So like you should just embrace it.
I love the way this is
Yeah.
coming together. In the background, you also got some ships on this card, which I perceive as being that going with the flow and the waves. Like in life, everything is waves, whether it's the energy in the sea or the light that you perceive with, and everything comes and goes in waves.
Sound.
And also so do your feelings and your emotions. You're happy and you're sad and you're happy. There's a wave pattern to life, and if you fight against it and struggle against it, sometimes it can be more difficult. But as you said, if you go with the flow, life can take you the way the energy takes you, can't it? That's a lot of the tarot sort of stuff, isn't it? Energies and feelings like that. So I get a lot of good vibes from this, and already I'm feeling like the aspect of enforced gaiety, enforced joy, clown mode. I'm talking about
Hilarious.
I'm talking about things getting sent back and forth in messages. I'm
And
talking about
the
someone
handwriting.
Dude.
someone
The
doing-
handwriting too, where he's writing down his bills. I don't know. That's immediately where my brain went.
I love that because of how it connects to the idea of change. Because for so long, DSP had this sort of attitude of being like an above it all / raging gamer, and really, really strongly disparaged anybody who overreacts to anything that does silly style things. He even like would disparage people who asked for money on stream. Like he said that I don't want to do that. I don't want to become that kind of person. And then like he sort of like
is that guy.
He became that guy. Yeah. I guess, whatever it was that forced him to go from YouTube to Blip to Twitch eventually,
recording
and
people
start with
saying hello Jew, that wasn't it?
Oh, right.
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was.
What's interesting about this, mine, is that it's like, again, it's not only is it like the Ouroboros, but the Pentacles are also like stacked on top of each other.
Okay.
And it's making reference to the representation of the yin and yang, which I'm learning from this. I don't know how true this is, so take this with a grain of salt, please. But apparently, how when you think of a yin and yang symbol, the dividing can be horizontal or it can be vertical.
Yeah.
Well, apparently a vertical division in the yin and yang indicates an internal change, where the horizontal represents like an external change.
Okay.
And again, I'm just sort of providing details that I'm being told here.
By the magic
nothing
in your head. I've got
yeah.
what I perceive, just like I feel, is I see him in clown mode. Like I see this guy with the funny noddy hat on doing the dancing, and the written messages. I agree with what Indrid said about things he writes on paper and stuff like that. But I'm also seeing this backwards and forwards, like this endless loop of someone's sending me a message behind the scenes, and I've got a PayPal, and I'm there telling you about things on screen, and then it's creating this loop again of someone sending me another tip, and we've got these coins, these discs represented tips, and he's like juggling the messages, the shout outs and the tips. Like it just seems like this endless cycle he's got himself into, and the going with the flow aspect as well. Like he's been pushed along by that, isn't he? Like you guys didn't support enough, so we're going to change the game, and other stuff like that.
And I mean, like Bob Cassidy just very
big ups Bob
intelligently
Cassidy.
pointed out two big bills, like the two big sails of the boats in the background. I could even see like one of the maybe the far ship has YouTube on the horizon, or Twitch on the horizon, and the nearer one has YouTube. Maybe the implication of that being that if you were to see a closer third ship, it would be YouTube again. Like the idea that like he's sort of just looping through this idea of going back and forth between Twitch and YouTube, because that's something that he's talked about recently too. I would never go back to Twitch. If I did go back to Twitch, it would be temporary. So
and then he would just stay there forever.
Yeah.
Until he had to go back to YouTube, but he wouldn't. But then he might, and then he does.
Yeah.
I like that.
I do like the idea of clown mode sort of being personified by that. I think like the idea of like a clown with a goatee wearing a silly hat and maybe a vest and glasses. And I'm even kind of like, the image that when you were talking, Scott, the image that I kind of got juggling the two things was the bubbles, just like going back and forth with the bubbles, the bubble guns like that. Like I thought that was that's sort of the image that
like just have like a figure 8 of the bubbles.
Oh, okay, yeah. The line is the bubbles. connecting
could
the
be
tips and the likes, right? Like there's the dollar sign.
Yes.
The dollar sign that he's holding up is the
And then
tips,
the
and the
like button.
thumbs ups are in the other
Yeah.
end, right? And he's just kind
I
of
also
be good.
I like the I don't know if it would work as a handwritten. Like in some way, I see like a long receipt wrapped around the whole thing
interesting.
with all like endless back and forth messages.
Like a
a-
receipt.
like a list of Patreon or like a list of supporters or something like that,
Or
right?
also like,
And maybe it just says
or just
OIC
chat,
all
or just
the
like
way.
chat. You know how chat just constantly is
And then there's like
changing and moving.
Jeff
Like chat.
in there.
There's all sorts of ways to. I think the artist can have a bit of a field day with this one because I think we've got some good ideas in there
Yeah.
already. And like the clown mode, like I can just picture him there like that. You know, he just sits in that card well, doesn't he? Doing his little wobble.
Yeah, and he does do that. He does the wobble too, and like no one can deny that he wobbles like crazy. And again, like it's the change and transformation aspect of it, of going from being like a YouTuber, like a on-demand content creator, into a live streamer.
He's wearing the Sonic hat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess like just because DSP features in these, it doesn't mean that like DSP has to be like the element or like the thing, right? The two of tips is clown mode, and it's just DSP. Like standing in this exact pose with juggling tips and likes.
I was thinking like the Bender hat because it's got
Oh yeah.
funny tips.
No, you're right.
Shape,
You're right. The Bender hat is exactly much better.
That's really
yes.
good.
Do you know what I love about that hat so much is that it's basically got a cock on the top of his head that sometimes he
It
fondles.
is just a dick.
It's got like eyeballs, but it looks like balls.
Yeah.
And he's constantly messing with it too. Like he's always just kind of like straightening it and sure it's okay.
The Bender hat,
Touching the
classic.
balls, stroking the
I'm going to put that on there. Bender hat.
cute.
And what about the
Silly.
two orbs? Did we decide exactly two big bills or two? Like in some way, some of this is going to represent paper and bills, and some of it's going to represent messages and bubbles and like we're in
right.
that ballpark.
So Snood had mentioned that one of the circles would have like the YouTube, like the thumbs up button, and then the other have like the dollar sign for tips.
Or like even if it's like bits and likes, if we don't want to put like a we don't want to like necessarily like centralize this in like a place of our world of reality. So like a dollar sign might not make sense, but something abstract like a tip, like a bit and a thumbs up. That's
I mean,
that's a little
the weird
more.
thing about it is that I can
could-
see that these coins represent a tip because they're like a coin, a tip. But in Phil's world, when he gets the tips, I see it on screen as a little animation or it goes in the tips goal. I wonder if this entire suit shouldn't have the tips goal at the bottom the whole time through.
I love that.
Or something.
Two
like,
tip skulls.
I don't
That would
know.
be good.
Indrid, do you want to have a final word on the 2 and then we'll move on to the 3?
I don't even remember what I was gonna say. I think I got all my ideas out.
Brilliant.
I think I'm good.
I had a thing I was going to
Hell
say
yeah.
earlier and I forgot it, so it happens.
All right. ADHD
The
streamers in the
three.
house.
What's this? The sculptor at work in a monastery. Compare the design which illustrates the 8 of Pentacles. No thanks. The apprentice or amateur therein has received his reward and is now at work in earnest. What the? Ooh. Go on then. Indrid, tell me about this earnest worker.
The divinatory meanings. What the fuck is that word?
I don't
Trade,
know what that
skilled
word is.
labor, métier.
I'll have a look.
Trade, skilled labor. Usually, however, regarded as a card of nobility, aristocracy, renown, glory. And reversed, mediocrity, in work and otherwise. Puerility.
No,
Puerility.
it does as well. It actually says it.
Puerility. It does.
Unbelievable.
Pettiness
That's
and
hilarity.
weakness. Puerility.
It actually says puerility. This is designed.
out
This is
to-
meant to be. This is meant to be. We're supposed to be making a set of cards about Darksydephil. It's supposed to happen. Maybe this is going to be something that changes the manifest network of the world entire. Once this deck comes into being, like maybe this was the whole point. Maybe Phil is put on this earth to catalyze this creation of this deck, and this deck has good
It's
things
gonna
and
change.
important meanings.
It's gonna change everyone.
And what you're
Yeah.
saying
Change
is
the
that
world.
when the deck has been created, the external forces will no longer have a use for Phil, and therefore he
Scattered into the wind.
he
You know,
disappears.
whatever, maybe, I don't know.
We'll find out once we've made the
just-
deck. We'll ask it what the future
Gone.
holds.
We'll figure it out, yeah.
So also what's really interesting here is that it says métier is a job. So a job, trade, skilled labour, regarded as no, but like because you've got a job, you've got a status, aristocracy, renown, glory, stuff like that. And the reverse there, the plurality.
I can never say it right.
The way I mess
just
about
can't.
on stream,
Plurality.
messing about
It's
and
plurality.
being petty
Plurality?
and weak, and it's just that it's all Phil, isn't it? It's just like the descriptions here are Phil to a T. Even if he himself is not a skilled labourer, he sees himself as this way, as having this serious job. Sorry, before we get into that, Snood, what's the more dark description?
Well, excellent segue, because another thing that Phil talked about is one of his qualities is his endurance or his tenacity or his persistence, right? And those are the three qualities that the Three of Discs or the Pentacles, Three of Pentacles represents, which is, it's here in the book literally called works. I don't know if it specifically means the work that you do, but it's a strong determination to give any external situation like full commitment to a situation, regardless of like anything else. So like you putting your everything into your work, being determined and tenacious, and getting through it. And I don't know if for those of you who might not remember, the thing that DSP thought that people might think that he was so tenacious for was beating off on stream and then instantly going into the stream. And like that someone who was less tenacious wouldn't have the bravery to face like an audience of people that he had just done that.
Steve in chat says someone making his pre-stream art for free, which I like. I also perceive Phil as, I agree with this, like people are going to, I sometimes worry about giving Phil praise because I think detractors probably see it as being a bit of a stupid thing to say, but I don't stream as consistently as Phil does. I don't even get up as consistently as Phil does, even though he gets up late in the day and he's still in his gym jams and but my routine is bad, and I'm not that I'm a bit of a degenerate for that sort of stuff sometimes. And Phil, to his credit, is on stream 6 days a week, 9 to 5. He's late and he's not there and he's this and he's that, but he is, isn't he? He's like,
it's
the
more
amount
like
of hours
11
he puts in.
to 11. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, sorry, I don't know. I said 9 to 5 like as a job, like working 9 to 5.
I'm joking.
I don't know what time it is in America, you chuffers, but yeah.
Well, he's in a different time zone than me too, so it confuses me too. And the thing about this is like my instinct is to be like, well, this is like the one thing that DSP doesn't represent, and also the only reason he sticks with it so hard is because he literally has no other choice. Like it's literally that, or literally be destitute and possibly have to move back in with his parents, right? So I don't know, but having said that, just because it's like a negative in application of that quality does not mean that it's not a quality that's there, right? He definitely has stuck with this longer than any sane person would. I don't know. Well, I mean, even saying that out loud, though, I guess, like, is it insane to stop something where you're likely to get $300 a day just for doing it and playing video games? I'll discuss
this a little bit, right? The problem Phil's got, he's stuck in this little box he's made for himself where on jumping to a new thing, like I said earlier, you don't necessarily get that $300 that day, the new time. Like if I start working in the helicopter company again, I don't suddenly get on the same payroll, but in the next 10 years I could have a much bigger future and it could work out much better if I made the change sooner rather than later. So he might be, in 2 years, 5 years time, different Phil might be doing better than $300 a day Phil, but because he can't remove himself in the short term, he can never see those long-term changes or successes, and what he's doing at the moment stands a real good chance, as we know, of petering out slowly. And that break-even point of, is this too... I mean, I've done it when I had a hairdressing business. We went through the credit crunch, and I went from a year where I was making money, putting money in the bank, buying things for the salon, expanding my business, to a year where I paid the rent and I paid everyone their money, and everything was okay, except for me. I didn't have as much money as I did. I didn't have the money to put into the business for the next year, and I was like, if we do this again for another year, I could end up going behind the line. So I decided to stop before I fell behind, So there's a break-even point of how long can this go on at dwindling returns.
He won't see that break-even point, though. He'll just keep going.
And your decision to stop there is not necessarily like a lack of endurance. Not that I'm suggesting that that's what.
No, I made the right choice.
Either,
I totally, changed what I wanted to do in life and just made a different choice. Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy that I did.
I guess like the thing that's standing out to me the most is that this is like the clarity of what it is that you want and that what you want to give your energy to.
Yeah,
so
you
it's
work
like what
hard
you want to like.
Time to put the nose to the grindstone and get working on it. Yeah. And I'll tell you what I love about the reverse meaning, about puerility. Thanks.
Puerility.
Forget it. Right. The good thing about that is that Phil does put his back into it and said, right, I'm here now. We're going to be doing a big stream today. We've got these 3 things on, and then what he ends up doing is being diverted or baited or angry at Street Fighter and turning it into mediocrity and puerility.
Yep.
And it's even though he's trying to put his shoulder into the work, so it represents all these things. I think this is so Darksydephil. It's unbelievable, and I don't really have a worry about the art so much. I feel like it will fall into place. Like anything that you want to say before we choose pictures? Or
well, I just want to mention one thing, though it kind of touches on pictures. The art in mine is 3 wheels connected by a pyramid, and behind the pyramid is blue light is being emanated.
Fucking
cool.
So
black
that
magic.
instantly makes me think. That instantly makes me think.
Bifrost blue.
Yes, Bifrost blue of the LED lights.
Yeah.
Like the idea of just like the image I'm having now is like three things like arranged behind Phil with a light of blue, like sort of illuminating the back wall.
I like that.
If he's not sat in his chair and midstream for this card, what else can he be doing, eh?
And I mean, like that. I think we didn't decide that the empty streaming chair was a symbol that we would already use when we were talking about.
I don't think we
wands, did we? Because I think that sorry. I just skip right into talking about the imagery. It was
we
just
were going to
we
anyway.
can go into it. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
You're in charge, you fucking
but-
dickhead.
Thanks. Yeah, shut up.
Yay!
I've got a creaky
anywho,
chair
like-
today. If anyone can hear it, I apologise, but I had to switch chairs because I had a bad back the other day.
I didn't hear that.
You're good.
You're
Can't
good.
hear
I didn't hear it. Yeah.
No.
Nope.
I fixed my chair for most of the squeaking too, and it feels so good. I can't believe I've been living like this.
I don't even sit on a chair. We're good.
What?
You're just
the fuck are you
standing the
doing?
entire time.
No, I sit on my bed.
Oh, cool. How's your back? Feeling.
It's terrible.
Oh, really? Okay.
I honestly, when you said that, I thought you might have been kneeling down in front of the desk or something. I thought or you might have some sort of modern American,
No, this is my pillow.
I thought she was like just Michael Scott being like, I could stand here for hours.
doing
Yes.
a squat. Yeah, just
Oh
squatting.
God! And then Dwight just has like the crutch under his pants.
Well, there's
He's on the crutch.
there's that other episode where Dwight's sitting on the exercise ball, and I was picturing that.
Oh,
too,
yeah,
because you're kind of yoga-y, right? I think that's like a
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a yoga thing. I
Oh,
wish I
thanks,
had a
Sarah. My
ball.
back's feeling better. Yeah, I think it must be muscular because it's starting to feel better. Yeah. So we've got Phil. He's in his chair. The black and the white of this card and the Bifrost blue that you've described go perfectly because his chair's black and white. The background has the Bifrost blue. He's hard at work. Maybe holding a controller or doing his streaming. What about these other figures that are admiring him? I suppose that's the people that watch his streams, aren't it? Isn't it?
I was thinking that it would just be the empty chair, and Phil would not be in it because that sort of represents Phil's like you were saying. He looks like he's trying really hard until it's actually time to start doing the stream.
You mean
In which
sometimes he
case
pops us and goes for a bathroom break and stuff?
Yeah, he just leaves for 15 minutes at a time. Have you ever?
I'll be back in 5 minutes. 20
you-
minutes later.
Ever gotten up from your stream and said, "Hey guys, just sit here and stare at this musicless video feed for 15 minutes, and I'll be right back," or "I'm going to mute the mic," and for 15 minutes? Have you ever done that? Ever?
Not
maybe.
really,
No one.
Definitely not once a day.
No, I think there might have been an occasion where, someone came to the door and I had to get the Amazon parcel or something, but
Totally different.
Other than that,
Yeah,
it's
but
not,
then you run and then you come back.
Yeah, exactly.
Is the thing.
Yeah, you
He's
hear me
actively
going.
wasting time intentionally. So
Yeah.
my opinion is that it should be the empty chair.
I do get the feeling that sometimes on his streams, like recently, we've had moments where he just wants to quit out. He's at work.
Yep.
It's the last hour. Can we just get through this? And then as soon as it's finished, right? Okay, we're done with the stream tonight. Bye. So I get that, the empty chair, but also the description here, it says a sculptor at work in a monastery. You're
right.
And Like I can see him at work, like in the picture. I think it'd be more of a jazzy card if he's in it.
I think it could be either way.
Oh,
Do you think he should be
that-
either getting up out of the chair or on his way back into the chair? Maybe
he's
you can have that.
decompressing his
Oh
back.
yeah, yes, he's doing the thing.
What you're gonna have to tell me in chat if Steve's still here. You tell me as well. Like, do you think he needs to be in the picture? Do you think the chair itself is representative enough? Because I feel my personal feeling is that I'm being outvoted here. You see, my personal feeling is that this figure is at work. So I suppose what you're describing does make sense. When he's at work, he's not always there, but.
It could be the empty chair with Phil in the background, like hanging like a T-shirt over like a box.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Turning
Like
the damn Pac-Man light on.
Yeah,
excellent.
Something like that.
Him
Yeah.
turning around, turning on the
Sold.
Pac-Man light. Awesome.
Sold.
Yeah, just like leaning
Getting ready
over
for the
in
day,
the frame a little bit. Yeah.
Him like looking down into the camera, like a really like stupid and close angle.
Wait.
Like, yeah.
What? How's that?
Turning on Pac-Man light. That's a fairly new. The Pac-Man light's a fairly new addition, but like it's fair enough to me. Like I wonder whether some of these need to be more timeless. But the Pac-Man light is now a thing, isn't it? So.
Well, he just forgets to turn it on so often, and then I forgot to turn the light
And he
on.
always makes such a stupid deal out of it too. It's actually so irritating. I don't know what it is. It seems innocuous, but it's such an irritating thing to me.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at yourself for at least a good minute and a half before you turn on a stream, and he's doing it for at least 25 to 30. So I don't know how he thinks he can just. Oh, I missed. I forgot it.
Do you know what? I hate the Pac-Man light. Yeah. The Pac-Man light, when he first got it, when he had his filter on and his old camera, the camera adjusts to the light source. So by turning on this bright light source behind him, and he wasn't properly illuminated, the camera would try and adjust for that. And so he kept, I'm not the right color, and I'm the right, because you've got a bright light behind you, you fool. And then when he finally got this new camera and the setup, and he's like, now you can see the Pac-Man light much better. And I'm like, no,
you can't.
Who cares?
Like, yeah,
no, you can't.
It doesn't doesn't understand how to light his setup to have both the Pac-Man light and himself visible at the right light balance, and it makes me so angry. Yeah. After how many years has he been a streamer?
15 years.
Yeah, 15 years. Doesn't understand brightness.
Right.
I'm sure Sam, Fantastic Mr. Sam, will know exactly. I'm sure that gets right on Fantastic Mr. Sam's egg as well. So we've got a picture here of he's not in the chair. We're not allowing him to be in the chair. You all voted just the chair, but I'm saying, and Ingrid has now forwarded Pac-Man light fixing, messing about in the background. That's what he's up to. Yeah.
Yeah, you could.
I love that. I love it because that is the work that he's doing, right? That's the work.
Yeah.
It's the little extra things for us, the viewer. I love the Pac-Man light.
The details that make his streams so special.
Big ups, Drama Llama. Nice to see you. I hope you have a nice evening, you chuffer. And now we're on to they do this to me. The IV of Pentacles, which is the Four of Pentacles. A crowned figure having a pentacle over his crown clasps another with hands and arms. Two pentacles are under his feet. He holds to that which he has. It's a bit mysterious.
Ooh.
I'm already getting.
Gotta do I know I am too. We gotta do divinatory.
Yeah.
The surety of possessions, cleaving to that which one has, gift, legacy, inheritance, reversed, suspense, delay, opposition.
Oh my
Dude,
god,
this is amazing.
This
This is so good.
See, because the way that my book is describing it is that the Four of Pentacles is power and vitality and forcefulness, but the card represents a castle with a moat around it. Which is like the symbol of knowing one's limits and like where boundaries are and being able to care for one's own castle or domain, which is the true meaning of power. Being able to protect yours and protect you and yours, right?
Yeah.
I think. Sorry, there's one other part here that I just lost my bookmark for. Excuse me, just a second.
Beepity.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. So if you were to draw this card in like a reading or something, this would be an indication that like personal power and potency is an issue right now, or there's something to there's a desire to feel more self-assurance and express one's vitality and creativity in the external world. this capacity is there to be tapped and used on all levels. So like the 4 towers of that castle represent like your 4 levels of experience: the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. I'm just going to start saying your levels of experience, so I don't have to say that the entire time.
Yeah,
no on.
That's fine.
And so it's like, you know.
Well, again, just so when you don't say it next time, I try and remember. It was mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional.
Correct.
Yeah.
Those are the 4. Those are the 4 levels of experience.
Okay, my XP points go into either mental stat, which is smartness, or physical.
I'm a tank, so I like the sort of like physical and emotional defense for like the the resistance to charm and stuff like that.
Is spiritual like magic? Because I like doing those.
Spiritual would be more like healing magic, I would say, like blesses and buffs and clearing curses, what have you.
Nah.
Yeah.
Sounds boring.
Mental is like the conjuration sort of schools. Anyway.
Oh, I'll do that one then.
Okay,
there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Like being a money kinesis.
Pignosis. I mean, there you go.
So with 4 pentacles, we're talking about someone who is like in the king of their castle, holding their possessions closely to themselves. The reverse of the traditional sense is suspense, delay, and opposition. And it mentioned inheritance, which is lovely for Darksydephil because he's waiting for his inheritance. And then you were saying as well, Snood, about this limit to one's powers, like this border that you draw around yourself and operate within.
Yep.
Yeah.
And,
that could be the fucking gate on the gated community.
I mean, I think we already said something about that in the but still,
doesn't matter how
like
many things. Like if it fits the card, it fits the card. We put it on the card, and they just develop themselves.
Astrologically speaking, this card is representative of the sun in Capricorn, and in astrology, the sun represents like inherent dynamism. I'm sorry,
dynamism. Plurality and dynamism.
Being dynamic and power. And Capricorn is the sign of being able to implement or apply your power.
I've got my hands up.
Okay.
Does the star signs and astrology have anything to do with the tarot, or are you just throwing that in there? You tired? It's morning time in America, isn't it?
No, I don't. Don't worry about it. It happens.
Are we boring you? I'm sorry. Are we boring you?
Everyone, if you got enough for everyone in the class.
No, it just happens.
Is that gum?
Would you like me to get you a cup of coffee?
This book does have a lot of connection to astrology. I haven't really been going into that too much because it hasn't really come up, but there's a lot of discussion of like some cards represent planets in constellations or things like that, and so they can represent other aspects.
What do you think in chat? And Indrid, what do you think? Do tarot cards and astrology cross over? Misery Merchant says they like peanut butter and jelly, which is confusing to me because I think they're a good combination on a sandwich, but I don't think they're inherently from the same world.
Linked, right?
I guess I sort of feel the same as Super Trevor. I think they can go together. Yes.
I don't feel anything.
I also see
You're
Misery Merchant's point too. I guess I'm not super into astrology, but I like
two great tastes that taste great together.
They can go together. I can see how they do.
I'm not personally a peanut butter person. That's an unpopular opinion. I do not care for peanut butter.
I can see your point very well.
I get a load of kale, right, and I put it in a dry frying pan with no oil, and then I heat it quite a lot, and then I put a little dash of oil at the end, so it just lightly fries the kale
chips.
And then
so good.
I have a little bit of salt on that. That's vegan.
Dude, that shit's so good though.
I strangle a little baby sheep with my bare hands. And I drink it, and I snap its spine in half, and I suck the marrow. I suck the marrow out of its spine. No, just the spine. I waste the blood intentionally.
Oh fuck! I like the blood.
You killed a mouse. You chewed nuts.
I'm sorry.
Alistair Crowley, you're supposed to be the good one, Indrid. You're supposed to be the White Witch, and you turned out to be a murderer as well. So we've got King of his castle, right? We've got somebody waiting for their inheritance. We've got somebody holding close to them what they treasure and own. So we've got Phil with his possessions around him and his statues and his treasures, yeah?
Yep.
Backed by the gated community.
I was going to say he's holding on to something. The play button, maybe.
I mean, he's like jealously guarding something. If we don't use the Wolverine figure here, this could even be like where he's like jealously guarding his like oh yeah, like his YouTube play button, right? Like,
Yeah.
because that sort of like defines where his limits are. Like, I have this many subscribers, so
Yeah.
so
They're
Time out
mine.
question.
Yes.
I agree with this in the principle, but I'm also seeing him. I don't think he could be holding credit cards. Maybe the credit cards are underfoot. But I feel this is
Could
like
be
something to
money.
do with actual physical. What you've got, what you can pick up, and that's mine, and then this
Right.
is mine, and then this is mine.
It could just be his consoles or his
It feels like I'm
controllers
holding my
or a
possessions. You know what I
TV.
mean?
yeah.
It can literally be anything that he holds physically dear. It could be
Yeah.
a horse if you want it. I don't know.
Jasper. No, Jasper's not
Or a
really like
cat.
Jasper's a member of the family, isn't he? But what do you think
Yeah.
Phil's like? Let's say the house is on fire and Phil's got to grab hold of some stuff. What sort of stuff is he grabbing hold of? Like, what's his most prized possessions?
Phone.
Yep.
Could be his phone.
Oh, there you go. Phone is definitely one. Wallet.
His Xbox.
I mean,
a wallet.
No, he like the thing is like I don't even feel like Phil has that much an attachment to anything in his house, really. Like the thing is that
Right.
if Phil's house is burning down, I feel like he'd be pouring cups of water to try to put it out, because it's like the one to me it's like the one thing he does have. Like that is the
His
one
house.
thing that he can like sort of lord over people and say like, you guys don't run a business, you guys don't run a house, you guys don't run a household, you don't have a wife, you don't have a cat, I have this thing and it's tangible and I can touch it and it's around me. And again, I'm seeing a city in the background of this picture. I don't know if that's what
Yeah.
that
I definitely
actually is.
think,
I
yeah,
think it is.
we bring in the gated community in the house in the background for sure. I like the fact that these things underfoot are in some way part of it, and I think the credit cards represent some. Whoa, thank you for the tippy, Sid.
Whoa!
Grandmaster Sid Sophos sent tippies.
This is a long one.
To Scott and Steve of the
Should've
Dead,
paid £6
sorry,
for a
I
long
missed
one.
your live yesterday. You are both members of the vast spiritual hierarchy that silently works uplift the human condition.
Thanks.
Super
Aw,
Chuffer owes
that's
3
nice.
hugs.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm seeing
That's
like
really
maybe
nice.
credit cards underfoot that have funded some of these possessions, like in the previous, in the past. But yeah,
I like that.
what Steve says in chat is really important as well. His phone showing champions. I like that as well. I
Yeah.
see him like guarding it and clutching it
Yes.
as well. So.
Which he does.
Yeah.
He very carefully guards it because he doesn't want to be being fun of for
And
it,
then
right? Like
we've got this thing on the head, and this guy's like a king, so he must be wearing one of his hats in some way in this picture.
Has to
Maybe
be.
tips
But
represented
it could
by
be
the
that
hat.
inflatable crown.
see,
Fucking
my interpretation
inflatable
of that,
fucking crown.
my interpretation of that is that's the thing that is like the most important part of him. Like that's like what he has like to
Okay.
But I don't know. I mean, again, we're kind of getting lost in like the exact imagery of this exact card when we.
That's
should
what we're supposed to be
thinking
making.
about,
We've got to make
like,
cards.
well, yes,
I
but
know,
we should also.
Oh,
be
we
thinking
shouldn't just
about,
copy
like,
this card. We can make our own card.
But not only that, but like what this card actually represents is power, right? So it's like what? So the credit cards gave him the power to get into a like. I almost want to say that the credit cards are underfoot. The condo is in his arms, and like maybe the gated community is behind him, and the WWE champions phone
on his head.
is on his head. Because
Yeah.
those are like the steps towards his.
This
power.
is where you sound like that
Okay.
Nutter Alistair Crowley again, because like you've put things on his head and like it's all. I can't understand how the house is in his hands and the phone is on his head. It's like backwards, but I
Oh, I
understand. I understand, but like it kind of sits back. Like it makes like it would seem like the phone would sit in his hands better and the crown would sit on his head better. But I understand what you're saying. What about this concept in the divinity meaning from the good side is the surety of possessions, and I understand. Like I can like hear Steve's voice echoing in my head about Phil's gambling addiction and the fact that when he feels insecure, he leans towards spending the money on champions. Like it's like his crutch holding him up, isn't it? So the surety of possessions, I would like to say you can't really say champions because you don't own anything, but for Phil, there is that surety of possession. It's like, I've got those Hogans. Like, we laugh because they're just JPEGs, but to him, that's almost like,
It means something to him.
yeah, the most meaningful. Like, he sees it as an actual thing, doesn't he, that he possesses, maybe.
Well, I mean, because there is something tangible. Like we all talk about how there's nothing tangible from WWE champions, but I touched on this earlier, and that is his position in the leaderboard. right? Like
Mhm.
it's his. He's literally like lording how much he is, because for those of you who don't know, the scores
It's a
of those
lot.
leaderboards are literally based on how much money you have put into
know-
that game, plus some other stuff.
You know, when the internet went out, he still had access to his champions because he's got phone internet. But it makes me feel a little bit with this card like the things that you have that, again, like you can pick up and hold in your arms, you really have, and the other stuff aren't sure possessions. There's not that same surety of possession because it could disappear at any minute. Maybe if the phone is or the account is hacked, or like. So I wonder, you know, do we need a physical item, or is it okay to have? Because the phone is a physical item and it gives you a portal to that leaderboard and all that. I agree with it. So.
I mean, I'm very happy for those images to be reversed too. I think this is, again, this is not prescriptive. This is all just like what
Steve says. Steve says that 99% win rate is more important than his house to him. So.
Yep, absolutely. Literally though, literally, and maybe that's why he needs to be holding on to that. Maybe the house being on his head is like, you know, not quite the back of your head, the back.
But
of your
what about
mind.
these houses in the background? Can't this be the house? Like, can't he be sat on his castle? Can't he be sat on his house or something? Like,
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
Yeah.
His because his house isn't a house; it's the central unit of a triplex, right?
Yeah.
what?
So
You're
they're
not in
like
America
three
now.
houses squished together basically, and he's in the middle unit. It's house, 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 and they're all just smashed together.
Yeah, and he's at the end of the lot of the gated community by the back door that's not locked apparently. But the DoorDash drivers just leave food outside of sometimes, and he has to.
So it's like they built one
big.
big house and they split it into three, and you live in the middle bit. Or like
No,
they built
it was
three
built.
houses
It
the
was
same.
built to be three separate homes.
But like we have
It's
what
not
we call
the same
semi-detached.
house. They're all
where-
separate homes, but it's
or
like
we have
one unit.
attached, like in
Or, yes,
row
in one
streets.
building.
So,
No,
Yeah,
no,
it's
it's
like it's like a
divided
mini street
vertically.
road with just three houses in the street.
if you
road.
think of a townhouse, if you think of townhouses, they're all like right next to each other.
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
They're all separate homes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like that.
but they've only done
worse.
three, and he's in the middle. He's got like the worst one.
Yes.
'Cause
Yeah,
either side are neighbours.
yeah.
The worst possible position to be a streamer from, because like DSP, especially because you are constantly shouting about tips and fighting
His
game
neighbours
moves
must
not
love
coming
him,
out,
yeah.
right?
My neighbours must love me.
Can you
So
imagine?
yeah, we're going to say I strongly feel that I don't want his house on his head. I think it just throws me too much. I like the crown. I like the
Okay.
inflatable crown, or the representation of tips still in that. The credit cards we're all happy with. The phone in the hands then, yeah? And then go to town on this background with the gated community, and this throne that he's sat atop is his house in my mind.
Okay.
I could
That
see
makes
that
a lot of
too.
sense
I
to
like
me.
it. I like it.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Okay,
Yeah.
I should have written that down when I said it because I didn't write it down. The next one is the 5.
5.
So let me get the picture.
The V of Pentacles.
The V of Pentacles, and it's two medicants in a snowstorm passing a lighted casement. So I don't know what any of that means. Indrid?
The divinatory meanings. The card foretells material trouble above all, whether in the form of illustrated, that is destitution, or otherwise. Okay. For some cartomancists, what the fuck? Cartomancists.
It's
This
like
is
a
a
like
card
a
of
calendar
love.
like a calendar mage.
Okay. It is a card of love and lover's wife, husband, mistress, concordance, affinities. These alternatives cannot be harmonized. Reversed, disorder, chaos, ruin, discord, profligacy.
Ooh, profligacy. That's a great
Discord,
word.
like we talk on Discord.
I like that word.
What's that?
Okay, in my world, there's thunder going on, and the dog's going to start nutting it about the thunder. So, if you hear the dog, it's because he's
Sweet.
scared of the thunder.
Nice.
So we were saying I'm a bit thrown. It's material trouble. This isn't like good things happening, and it's
Sorry.
love.
What?
and-
So let's see, let's go through it again. The card foretells material trouble above all, whether in the form illustrated, that is, which is like, the people walking through the snow, destitution, or otherwise.
Right,
For
being
some
a beggar.
cartomancists, it is a card of love and lover's wife, husband, friend, mistress, and concordance affinities. Alternatives cannot be harmonized. So reverse, disorder, chaos, ruin, discord, and profligacy.
Okay, so there's some of those things. The thing I didn't still quite get into my head was something to do with love and lover's wife, husband, friend, mistress. Like, I suppose if this card, what you're saying is, if this card comes out in your reading, you say it can relate to your lover or your husband or your friend or your mistress.
I think that's a good way to look at it.
Is that
probably.
what I'm saying?
If we're wrong, correct us.
Well, no, you're right, because it can relate, because the way that it's written in my book is called worry. The Five of Pentacles is worry. And the way that can, I believe that the way that they're talking about is the idea of like your concern for your partner. It could also be about anxiety about your partner, i.e. like you're concerned about the status of your relationship, or like how you're relating to each other. But
this is great.
Time out. I feel like maybe I'm jumping the gun a bit here, but Kat is crying downstairs. Is ringing in my head.
Is. You have to.
When I read the book, and I was reading ahead on some of these, and it's extremely sad. And I was kind of thinking, actually, the picture that DSP took of himself that got like, it gets on the news, like the obvious Bachelor DSP pic, where he's just like looking really shitty, and he's just like clearly
he's like holding back tears.
Yes. But Kat's crying downstairs. It
there's so many
woman
things to.
It could just be called horn tents.
Oh my God.
Sorry, the horn tents of Pentacles.
It's just horn tents. Yeah, Snood, go on with some more of these dark meanings.
So some of what I'm reading here is that worry is an interesting state of consciousness, because it takes us to the future and it takes us to the past, and has us totally avoiding the present. So, I mean, I think if you had to describe Darksydephil, it would be someone who is constantly living outside of the present, right? Like constantly talking about the things that have happened to him in the past, constantly worrying about go on.
The future and the schedule.
Yep. Constantly he constantly says, I'm worried about money. I'm worried about the tip school. I'm worried about this game is not going to be reviewed as well, so people aren't going to come out and watch the stream.
The scheduling, in my opinion, is not just that he wants people to know when he's on stream, because if he really wanted them to know, badgering them, like if I tell you that tomorrow at 4 o'clock we're going to be playing Zelda, and then at 6 o'clock we're playing Dark Souls, and then at 8 o'clock I'm going to be playing Sonic, and then the next day I'm going to be playing Sonic at 2 o'clock, and then at 8 o'clock I'm playing by that point you've lost all.
I have no idea.
Yeah, no one could take that in.
Yeah.
So I think it's for him. I think it's his anxiety. Like, he's stressing about what's coming up, and he just wants to, in his mind, put some organisation and lines drawn. And I think it's like an anxiety ramble.
Fucking stressed. Yeah, there's no doubt.
In addition to that, I think he genuinely thinks he's like advertising the coming streams too, like so guys, you're gonna really want to tune in on Thursday for more Zelda silliness, and then that night I've got Street Fighter 6
I'm
Rage.
gonna blow in Diablo.
I don't know,
But like I said, I'll tell you what it's like. It's like someone comes to your table to, would you like to see the menu? And I'd like to see the menu. And they stand there and they read everything off the menu. And you're like, I don't know what I want.
Unbearable.
What's going on? Like, just calm the fuck down.
You can't retain any of it.
So for them, they're getting a good view of the menu again. I'm really, I really understand my menu. But for us, it's something different. Like, also this card, I'm getting lots of different feelings as well, because I'm getting beggars, I'm getting the destitute. When you were saying about this, there are moments where he's been more destitute than ever.
And that has to do with worry.
And more anxious
being a beggar,
than ever.
It has all to do with worry.
Haven't there been moments in Phil's career where he's like literally, the helicopter company, I need money more than ever because I'm going to lose my house. There was a time when he got kicked off Twitch, and wasn't that
I'm going to lose my house?
He literally had a fundraiser stream that he called the Save the House stream.
Yeah,
he did,
and then he didn't raise the money that he needed for it, and he was fine anyway. So
it could be like him walking away from the back taxes or taxes. Even in this picture, I'm moving on to imagery a little bit. Sorry.
I just want to read one more passage here.
Oh, yes, please.
Worry is the state of preoccupation about future or past events, which has us avoiding or handling present issues. And again, that's just sort of like emblematic of Darksydephil's entire deal. But in the interest of saying something a little more interesting than that, You know, I wonder, like, what is it like? That's like something that's like a fourth place. If this was a 4, that would be great. But like that's something like a 4th place at Evo / a helicopter. Maybe the 4 blades or the 5 blades of a helicopter's rotor.
I perceive him pointing at the tip skull
with 5 fingers.
You know how he does
Yes.
it? Like the tip skull is not full. Here is me pointing at it. You know, drawing it to
this right here
attention.
sucks. This sucks.
Yeah, this here sucks.
This sucks.
Because that's his anxiety, isn't it? That's what I'm feeling about this is that I'm worried about if this card comes out. I'm worried about the future and achieving and things going we're talking about financial stuff as well because we're in this suit of tips,
physicality,
and physical stuff. So like literally that anxiety about and worry that I'm going to be destitute. I'm going to end up as a beggar. If I will.
He's
lose the
constantly
house,
living in the future of, oh my god, I'm gonna be destitute. Oh my god, I'm not gonna be able to pull tonight. Oh my god.
Not only that, he's also living in the past of I used to make this much money, so I should be making that money still. I just want.
Oh my god, I'm not going to be making this much money again.
And this
I need to try to get that much money.
In the imagery of the card, this illuminated window, the lighted casement, like that obviously is a symbol of things going well, and someone's got a bit of money. They've got a fire in there, and the windows are light, and they're having a good time inside that lighted window. But out here, we're struggling in the snow. So like it's like a symbol of times past or great success. Like
this is like the perfect card, and I love it so much.
But how do we like this?
Is
My
awesome.
problem with it, right, is that there's so much fill that makes sense. Which bit of it, or do we try and amalgamate all bits, or which thing most stands out as this?
I think we should leave it largely open to interpretation because there are so many ways that you could take this. There are so many worries. There's so many things.
My job today is to put a design on a card.
Yeah, we're trying to be specific here.
Sorry.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not.
You're doing the interpreting, Indrid. You're
contributing,
the
Aleister Crowley.
I'm doing a little bit more reading and this. This is like one's self-confidence and self-esteem has suffered a blow, and worry and doubts are only keeping one in a state of anxiety. So I mean, like this could be something like the moist critical.
Yeah.
Moist
could be looking at him through the window.
Oh, interesting.
Moist is all lit up like the perfect YouTuber with all the success and the.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I think with it being called worry, the thing is that like it basically just has to be a beggar, and DSP like as a beggar.
And I've seen his face though, right? All these times, there are moments that I can picture it where he's like going and or when he has to go over to the other computer. Like when things get that serious that it's time to go, and the legs jig in, and the face, all bets are off now. He's like in full
Zelda
panic
jammies.
mode. Yeah, I've seen him in that mode. But the thing is, if it was just one incident, and I was like, that time this thing happened, it's that. But it's not. It happens regularly throughout the months. He's always doing this.
Dude has an idea. Dude has a good idea.
You just hit on something very important because the 5, obviously the 5 is connected to Pentacles because of the 5-sided shape, right? The other symbol in like the major arcana number of 5 is the Hierophant, right? Who we discussed last week is like the teacher and the learner, right? So, the talking about
we had Sir Moist as the Hierophant as
I'm sorry?
Last week we had the Hierophant and we said Sir Moist as a papal Minecraft throne and the stolen Wheel of Fortune, all things, all random things that had happened. So the Wheel of Fortune was something different. Sorry, we had the Hierophant Sir Moist as a papal Sir Moist sat on a Minecraft throne, didn't we? That's what we had,
Yeah.
And when one draws worry, they can seek out someone who is like connected to the Hierophant. Like if your number, the tarot number that I talked about earlier today, if that adds up to 5, your sort of personality is similar to that of the Hierophant, and so someone can like seek out a Hierophant. So I could take that to mean just like a teacher in general, or someone with authority and knowledge, like YouTube/Twitch support. And the idea of like Phil on the PC chair, shaking his leg.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm getting the image of like a shaky leg on the floor, and the 5 is representative of like the chair's like feet. Like office chairs will have those like usually 5 masters and on wheels and legs.
So we're getting a very different image from this image, but I can perceive what you're seeing. Yeah.
Right, and that's worry. That's because that I think is when Phil shows the most
chair.
worry is when he's like going to someone for help. He's like, that's who you know shit's really gotten to him at that point.
I can almost see like
Yeah.
I'm slightly higher up from him over his shoulder, maybe pan back a bit so I can like see his computer maybe as well, and like, you know, the back of him like hunched over it, the leg going. I also feel that maybe he should be chewing his finger,
Yeah,
but that's
like-
a slightly different worry that he has. But he does chew the finger, doesn't he, for the racism?
So absolutely. I mean, talking about this image here, it could be DSP begging out in front of YouTube support, like a
Yeah.
building that is like it says
Yeah.
YouTube support or something like that, and he's out there like in tatters with his worries or whatever. Maybe he's sitting in a computer
I
chair.
quite like this fact that this lighted screen is a screen that he's looking at. And,
Ooh.
you know, he on this side is
Yeah.
the beggar, but he's looking into the YouTube world through the screen. So, like those moments where he goes up to that screen, it's we view the world through a portal, looking at him in his little office. But then all of a sudden, we go behind the scenes, so to speak, where the camera spins round, don't we? And now he's looking into YouTube. He's on the computer. So I quite like that. And also the thing that I wish these cards could convey that this will never be able to convey is Phil's a beggar, Phil's a loser. But that is rattling
Yes.
around my mind, that line from the Meerkat Jam.
Phil's a burger. Phil's a
Phil's a
loser.
loser, yeah.
Phil's
fat.
Does it say Phil's
I'm not
fat?
saying
'Cause
that.
I hear it in my mind as Phil's bad.
Yeah, Phil's fat.
All right,
Phil's
I got
a loser.
Phil's bad.
Phil's beggar.
Does he
Anyway.
not say fat? I don't want to say
Anyway.
that word because it's going to be.
No, I don't want to.
He's-
I mean, that's
he
that's
says
a different
that.
word here.
But we're not saying that today.
Nah, I'm not gonna.
Yeah. In England, we smoke.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, the
I know. Yeah.
we've got a load of good ideas there. Then we want to see him at his computer chair having a panic, yeah, or in front of,
Yeah.
like these
The
figures
shaky
are
mode.
the beggar Phil.
The-
It's just we all know, all of us that know Phil, right? Good night, Curious Cat. All of you that know Phil, you've seen him in that mode, haven't you? You can perceive the face he's got on, like.
The sweatiness
Similar
of his
to the
hair.
gamer face. Yeah.
The tousled
The
messiness
sheen.
of his hair. I mean, again, the thing that like the way that his chair is wiggling is just like,
Yes.
it's just something that you don't see very. And like you were saying earlier, you know, about the portal to view into YouTube. When we get that angle on Phil, it's like actually one of the worst angles you can get. It's totally different. And if you've seen those streams, he is like haggard looking in
Yeah.
them because
Yeah.
everything is just so out of sorts. In that
And he's
moment,
not he's
right?
not performing anymore. Like the performance ends, and he's just like having to deal with this
He's
shit. yeah.
unbearable. The thing, he is still performing though, and he's performing like he thinks that like your dad should when you're reaching out to the brick and mortar store or YouTube, and you're going in to talk to the
Yeah.
manager, right?
Time to get serious. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Panic mode. This is good. Isn't it incredible the way that a tarot card from years and years ago that means these general things fits so perfectly over Phil's life?
Yeah. It's
I agree, and I
very
mean-
interesting.
I think it's just very interesting to see like how like what images that stirs up in us because it's like, you know, that doesn't come from somewhere specific, right? Like they're so disconnected that the fact that they bring up those images, I find that to be a very interesting thing, you know, like the way that our brains work and
It's meant to be.
things like that.
Yeah.
The Six of
Yeah.
Pentacles is a person in the guise of a merchant. They weigh money in a pair of scales and distribute it to the needy and distressed. It's testimony to his own success in life as well as his goodness of heart.
Oh,
So what I just said goes in the bin because this has nothing to do with Phil in any way,
Right.
shape, or form. Unless you maybe like tell me about the meanings.
oh,
in
I
your
do have an
divination
idea though.
meanings
I
and
do
your
have an
feelings.
idea.
Yeah.
But I'll talk about my idea in a second. The divinatory meanings: presents, gifts, gratification. Another account says attention,
Oh my God.
vigilance. Now is the accepted time. Present, prosperity, etc.
Oh.
Present. Wait. What? Nope. Present. I don't know. Reversed. Desire, cupidity, envy, jealousy, and illusion.
Oh, now it's
Is there
starting to
anything
sound
about
a bit.
positivity?
Mr. Beast. No.
Does it say anything about positivity in there?
No, it doesn't.
But
Unfortunately.
it's
What
starting
does your
to
book
tie
say?
in a little more
Well-
with Phil. Yeah.
Well, mine says it's about success. You know, the deep desire to make some tangible results, to see results of one's own efforts or productivity. This is success, achievement in all aspects of one's life by the willingness to work in a step-by-step manner. The ability to communicate effectively, the willing to be emotionally committed, the willing to take risks. So again, all very, very applicable to DSP.
Very, very.
Actually, like the idea that I'm getting here right now, this is people troll tipping DSP. Like this,
Okay.
this is like it's not DSP. This is people like, I mean, this is people giving Phil money, which he sees as success, and maybe even the person, I mean, it could even be someone who's sincerely tipping him because they might also see that as success, right?
So
That's
it's interesting that
Right.
you've reversed. I would have initially tried to put Phil as the main character, but we're putting other people as the main character. I like that. Indrid, what were your thoughts that you were feeling instinctively were bubbling up?
I was thinking Mr. Beast
Interesting.
giving out like actual charity, like helping people like see again and stuff. Because and like maybe Phil screaming in the background, like this is not how you do charity.
Phil accepting charity from him.
I could certainly see the reverse of that, where jealousy and envy come in, because Phil would look at that and just be jealous, and I can understand the reverse of it. I wonder if Mr. Beast is like Mr. Beast represents this totally. I agree, but I wonder if it's part of enough of Phil universe and Phil world. I wonder if he
Talks about him enough.
All
he
the
does,
time.
yeah, he does talk about him a lot. He
Yeah.
talks about, but I feel like someone like PewDiePie or someone that's been more of his, like, because Phil grew as YouTube grew, and there are people that were there as his peer group, so to speak, and then there are others that have come along and superseded him later. So I wonder if there was anyone that was more like benevolent through his journey, that like was like like an alternate person to Phil along the same sort of journey that Phil went on, and has stayed benevolent and successful, maybe. Or
I think
or is it
recently-
Phil receiving tips? I don't know. Yeah. What do you say in chat?
I mean,
as well?
I think recently
People.
Maximilian dude was, or I can't remember if that's the actual person, Maximilian dude, but he is like becoming this person who is becoming more of like he's being promoted by like Capcom and stuff for like his Street Fighter 6 coverage on Twitter. And he was like a contemporary of DSPs. And in fact, DSP has sort of like slagged him off once or twice in the past because
Yeah.
people have compared them. I don't know. I don't really know what that guy is like, but I understand he might have had a similar personality.
Yeah, you know what? If we're putting an iconic picture on a card, Mr. Beast going there, like I can see him
Yeah,
there, and I can
absolutely.
see him there, and it just makes perfect sense. And we know what Phil would feel and think when we saw it. It would like, it works. It totally works. I'll tell you what really works as well, how angry Phil would be if in his own set of DSP tarot cards, the card that represents
Mr. Beast.
Success.
success
Yep.
and goodness of heart and all this is not Phil, but is Mr. Beast. That just, he would
Yes.
screw him, wouldn't he? So I kind of don't want to argue
that'd
with that.
chuff him.
Yes. That would chuff him.
I kind of get the picture, the image of like DSP, like begrudgingly begging from Mr. Beast too. Like if we were going to like base it directly on this art, it would be the guy who's not getting the money right now. That would be DSP, the one who's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
all right, like he's slow to come and beg from him. And by beg, I almost mean like get content from him. Because
Watch
like now
and
he uses-
react.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because when DSP reacts, what
I
he
like
actually
that.
does, right, in DSP reacts, is he doesn't,
Oh.
like, his concept
What?
is supposed to be, I'm reacting to stuff, and that means I bring something to the table and talk, and we create a conversation. What he's really doing in some of the episodes is he's stealing somebody else's video and sitting there while because he thinks this is a popular video, so they might as well be watching it on my channel. So I'll just sit here and let it
Right.
record, and like then I'll say something just to
Or-
make sure that I've done some reacting, so that I've covered that base, and then I've copied the
Or
video.
relate
so,
it to my pathetic life somehow.
Slap my
Even-
thumbnail all over
honestly,
the bottom right, left
yeah,
corner
exactly.
of it.
Sometimes he doesn't even relate it to his life. He just goes, huh, "That was a good video," or "I like that," or "I don't." And then, but now if someone
That's funny.
searches for like Mr. Beast and whatever, maybe his video comes up on the algorithm. Maybe do you know what I mean? He's basically got the same taglines as all those other things in his video. I think he's thinking that way, that it's a cheap and easy way to steal content, and people like
Literally.
that content. They can just watch it with my
Yeah.
frame around it. So I perceive him, like rather than begging directly from Mr. Beast, but indirectly feeding off the crumbs, doing the reacting.
Yeah.
In that way.
This guy is
Definitely.
almost just watching him give
yeah.
the money to the other guy, right? So it's like if you just put the script, like a cardboard cutout of a television, like between those the two sets of people, the two exchanging the money and the guy watching him,
Yeah.
that would be Phil, right? Like
So I'm going to put Mr. Beast being benevolent and Phil
Being benevolent.
Phil being greedy.
watching
Phil being greedy.
through a frame. And I'll just put question mark. Okay, number 7. Like, we all happy with that, yeah?
Ooh.
Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's great.
yeah, that just seemed to like sit where it needs to be. Have we got anything else to say about the card? I tell you what, I'm aware that we've already done 2 hours. We'll probably go somewhere around 3 hours. And if we don't get to the end of the suit, don't worry. We can do next stream. We can just pick up where we left off.
Absolutely.
If we end up talking a bit more, a bit less, it's absolutely fine. But I just, for
Let
me,
the cards be our guide.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
For me, as a personal thing, I'm just learning about the tarot as we go as well. So I'm saying, if I draw this in a divination reading, am I going to remember that this, like, what does it mean to draw it? So, Indrid, what do you feel if you were to draw this in a reading? What does it talk about?
Oh, I'm not 100% sure.
I could tell
I'm
you
not-
that I could tell you that like it's an indication that there's like a deep desire to be successful at some external venture, like the idea that like being willing to risk and be committed, trusting your own intuition, and using clear communication, being willing to do those things are the keys to your success.
It's interesting that it also mentions gifts and presents, but it says that now is the vigilance.
Like
now is the
coming to you, possibly.
And it says vigilance now is the accepted time. So, like you were saying, like maybe you have to be aware to receive those gifts. I'm interested as well in the fact that usually I see the main character is like the main connection with the card, but here I'm also aware that these other people are receiving the gifts from the benevolent merchant. You could be the merchant. You could be, it's a time to share and a time to give gifts, but maybe it also means that you need to be aware of when it's time to receive and be humble, maybe as well. Because it talks about jealousy and envy as a reverse. So the reverse of being jealous and envious is being humble and accepting and, being grateful, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess you could find yourself in any one of these three positions, right? So it's an idea of like the reflection of being in either of these positions, and like where I guess if you were to draw that in a card, that's what you would consider who you are in this image, and that's where you want to be.
Okay. I can see that.
That's an interesting card, isn't it? Yeah,
like
we're going with Mr. Beast. He's a very interesting card. I hope he doesn't sue us for having his image on an artwork, but
me too.
Yeah.
No,
thank you. Don't sue us. We're just humble tarot card readers.
Do you think? I didn't think about this. Like, you're not allowed to use other people's faces, are you? Do you think Phil would sue us for making these cards?
You're absolutely allowed to use other people's faces, especially if you're doing it for the purpose of parody.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, it's parody. We're good.
Okay, get his face.
Anybody
on
who
there.
has a problem with this is a Grinch.
This Seven of Pentacles is a young man leaning on his staff. He's looking intently at 7 pentacles attached to a clump of greenery on his right. One would say these were his treasures and that his heart was there, apparently.
Divinatory meanings. These are exceedingly contradictory. In the main, it is a card of money, business, barter. But one reading gives altercation, quarrels, and another innocence, ingenuity, and purgation.
Perjury.
Reversed cause for anxiety regarding money, which it may be proposed to lend.
Purger burger.
Okay.
Purge burger.
Burger burger.
So that's very
Cheeseburger.
interesting. What I've got here. Sorry.
So I just enjoyed hearing the cheeseburger thing.
Oh yes. Cheeseburger.
You don't. Not from you, Snood. Not from you.
Oh, come on. Whatever.
He doesn't get to.
So this is.
What does the sugar do? What does the sugar do? Yeah, it's sweetness. Sweetness. Yeah. Sorry.
It's like tangy and spicy with a bit of a kick.
Ew.
We haven't got a card for a snort
As
yet.
acidity. Oh my God. We
might
Okay,
one
we'll
day.
keep that in mind. Yeah. All right. What?
Sorry,
So-
Snood. I took us on a tangent. This is why it's
okay.
taking ages tonight. Yep.
That's fine. No problem. So what I've got here is that the Seven of Pentacles is failure, or the fear of failure, or the fear of success. Apparently, so the the fear of failure or having failed, and that could be associated with like finances, health, relationships. This is a warning to not make any financial decisions if you drew this in the month of Taurus, apparently, because Taurus is the sign that represents productivity. So I guess that's bad.
It's funny because I'm a Taurus.
Interesting.
Yay!
What do you think about this? Because like we've got a pile of treasures, and we're talking about money, business, barter. So you think that someone's done quite well there, but then we're also talking about altercation, quarrels, anxieties. Like it seems like your money's not completely safe.
Seems like
in this
anxiety
bush.
about money.
Yeah, but we've had that as a theme already. But like,
Yeah.
I guess it's sort of like the fear of like handling something improperly or something having failed, possibly because it wasn't handled properly. Like maybe perhaps you're to blame for this, which would be a funny thing to associate with Phil. When I look at the image there, I see someone who like is not super happy with what he's got, right?
No.
Like it was interesting what you read in the description, something like one could say these were his treasures.
Yeah.
To me, that indicates that like one could say that, but I wouldn't, because he just has a pile of greens.
It just is a pile of crap. It could be like a pile of toys. Oh my god.
That's the way I feel about it. It feels like a pile of like swept leaves and rubbish, and he should have had a good haul, but instead it looks rubbish. But I'm reading a different website here that says a man leans on his hoe, gazing down at his abundant crop. He's worked long and hard to nurture tiny seeds into a thriving garden, can now take a break to enjoy the fruits of his labour. Note the expression in his face, though. He looks fatigued and a little over it from having worked so hard for this successful harvest. Success comes from hard work and patience, but this card reminds you to take care not to overdo it and exhaust yourself. So he's worked hard and he's got his big pile, but he's not happy. Is a theme there. I mean, that does sound incredibly like Phil. Yeah.
No, that's yeah. This aspect is often experienced as feeling that your productivity or achievement is limited, or it can produce a sense of failing or induce fears of success or fear of failing. Yeah. So I mean, I guess this is just some sort of, I don't know. It's like you said, like what he's saying is that he's looking down upon his harvests with like dissatisfaction, right? Which he's go on.
He's gathered this harvest, but the harvest itself has not. Like, it's not that the harvest is dissatisfactory in itself. It's that the process of harvesting has made him unhappy.
Yes. Oh, interesting. Interesting. And
Misery Merchant says, yeah, big ups. You can run the stream, Snood. Do what the fuck you want. Talk to whoever you want in chat, whenever you fucking want. I've got a $1 tip here, but I'm not going to read it because it's coming from a troll. Misery Merchant says, it's like Phil collecting so much crap and can't sell his broken statues. Yeah, it's like he's worked really long and hard for this stuff. But actually, I perceive that this stuff is a good pile of stuff. But like I said, like, you know, I'm now fucking knackered and worn out, and like just don't want to even look at stuff anymore. I've had enough of stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
It could be games.
Big pile of games, yeah.
Big pile of DVDs and Blu-rays and games.
Like, and now he doesn't even like them anymore. It's like, okay.
And the Pentacles, like the discs are Blu-rays and PS4 games or whatever, right?
Yes. That would be so good.
It can't be really financial money, can it? Because he does love the money. Once he's got a big pile, he doesn't end up with a big pile of money. He spends it. So it must be, as Misery Merchant said as well, collecting crap and things as well, like a big pile of stuff.
The classic example would be just a bunch of broken statues just piled up, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
But I think the games is a little bit more symbolic for his disdain towards like the thing that actually got him to where he is, right?
And also, I tell you what's lovely about that as well is that his playthroughs, like his prolific nature, that's his big pile of stuff on YouTube that he's done, and it is a big pile of crap. And even he has said, "Why would I want to go back and watch my old play?" Like, so they suggested watch your on that hard drive he got of old playthroughs. They said, "Why don't you watch it as a stream and react to it?" And he said, "Oh, I couldn't sit through 9 hours of me playing a game. I couldn't sit and watch that. It's crap." So even he wouldn't sit and watch his own content. So all of those old games, all of that, you know, pile of content and stuff that he's done is all. He looks at it and just thinks,
hard drives,
and it's tired him out, and it's worn him out, and he hates it, and he doesn't even want to play games anymore, does he?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He does not. Exactly. That was my point.
I do like the idea that they're actually valuable things, but that he just has disdain for them now. You know, that sort of lends itself more to the statues, right? Because like games are expensive, but those statues can be like up to $1,000 each. So
yeah, all of it can be a
Yeah.
big pile, including the games and the statues. So what I love about this as well is that he's holding a staff in this image, and it mentioned it in the description. And we changed staff to joysticks. We changed sticks to joysticks, and that still plays in, doesn't it? He's like leaning on his joystick, having finished a long, hard career of playing all these games.
God,
He's totally dissatisfied.
I'm kind of just loving the idea of DSP being in that same posture, but like with his arms crossed, like just because he has a bad back, so his back is just completely fucked up like that. He looks like he's leaning on something.
Bent over, yeah.
Yeah,
We're
I
happy
like
with
But I
this
think
one as
him
well.
leaning on a joystick is much more poetic,
I like that.
Leaning
and symbolic,
on
too.
his-
meaningful.
He's meaningful. Yes, he's miserable.
It's weird, isn't it? Like the
With
way
his
these.
pile of crap.
I wonder what today for some reason I'm thinking what he would feel and think about. Well, I wondered whether he watched the last episode because he mentioned a word that we said last time. Can't remember what it was,
What?
but
What did he say?
I should have noted it.
that's
But
hilarious.
sometimes you think, is he watching because we said this? And then he's like brought it up in a rant, or he does that with detracts content, doesn't he? This one, I thought he might have more chance to. He might not see this as a big dig at him because it's cards about his life, and he might get it. So
Yeah,
maybe
he
he's
might.
watching.
But then we're seeing through like some truth of his life. I don't think he'd like that part.
What's his birthday? His birthday is April 7th, I think.
I think so.
Do his thing.
Yeah, I'm just doing that right now.
Yeah. April 7th, and we just doxed him. And also, you say you might not like it because the truths and all that, right? But I also think that Phil has heard enough. Okay, give me one second. He's built up to that now. Give it a second. The truth is that Phil's heard these truths many, many times. So he's built up a bit of a skin about them. And some of them he might actually even accept. He might actually just say, look, well, I suppose I see what they're saying there. I hate it, but I see what they're saying. So you might actually get something out of this, maybe. Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe.
His numbers, his tarot profile is the Emperor.
Whoa.
So for anybody
Same
that
as you.
says this shit's real, there you go.
Same as you, though.
It's real. This proves it.
It's real and proves it.
Yeah.
What? Didn't they have the gouty pig roach as one of the options?
Oh, now that you mention it,
Oh shit. Whoa. Yeah. Oh, yep. And that's Phil.
The dumpster fire.
Yep. The dumpster fire.
We should just
you wanna
after this
move
we
on
should
to
just
the
do a
eight?
modern deck of just random shit like the dumpster fire and the bag of chips. We're on to the
Italian
8.
man.
Yeah.
The 8 of Pentacles, which is an
Italian
artist
man.
in stone at his work, which he exhibits in the form of trophies. Artist in stone. All right, he's a stonemason. That's the Italians are often stonemasons as well. From the history, they
Right.
built a lot of stuff, didn't they? Which he exhibits in the form of trophies. His trophies.
Divinatory meanings: work, employment, commission, craftsmanship, skill in craft and business, perhaps in the preparatory stage. Reverse: voided ambition, vanity, cupidity, exaction,
Usury.
usury.
Usurp.
Usury? It says
Right.
usury.
Like to usurp, maybe, I
It
think.
may also. I don't know. It may also.
Wait, is usury a
signify the
word?
possession of skill. Yeah.
I'm going to find it out.
In
I
the
don't know what it
sense
means.
of the ingenious mind turned into cunning and intrigue. I kind of, I want to say this is Panda working on soap.
Oh no, right. Usury. Is this?
But-
Can I just press the? You're right. You're right.
Usury.
Usury, yeah.
Usury,
The action of
yeah.
practice of
Usury.
lending money at an unreasonably high rates of interest.
Usury.
Oh,
So I'm going to press that again.
Usury.
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 Oh, hello, you.
Usury.
Yeah. Sorry.
considered a very
Nice.
sinful thing in some cultures.
So go through it
Yeah.
again with me, Ingrid.
So what-
just slowly so I can understand. We're talking about work, skills, and business.
Employment, commission, craftsmanship, perhaps in the preparatory stage, and then reversed, voided ambition, vanity, cupidity, exaction, usury.
So the usury bit would be like
May also
fucking
signify
up with
possession
money,
of skill.
lending money, owing money.
I could see
Yeah.
that. That could
I
be the
suppose
credit
we're not
cards.
quite-
Oh my god,
yeah,
these could
we're
be the
not-
credit cards.
It could be. It could also be bankruptcy, but that's the reverse meaning as well. So I'm a bit careful about
Right.
whether we go too heavy
Oh.
on it. But Snood, what are you going to say?
So the 8 of discs or pentacles is prudence. So caution or carefulness, wisdom, operating from a place of balance and integration, making sure all bases are covered or protected while experiencing change. This is a state of consciousness of not overextending the self externally or underextending the self. it is operating from near the center. So like, again, there's a lot of talk about balance here, and the idea that like, if you are seeing this, you are needing to like proceed forward in your growth, in your life experience, with care and wisdom and prudence. And I guess like that does sort of connect to the craftsman, in that a craftsman who has honed their ability is wise and prudent and got there through wisdom and prudence, right? That's how you knew not to overextend yourself, and you knew to do what you're good at, right?
They're a stone craftsman, and you have to chip away. It takes time. It's not like some great big fast stroke. You're slowly grinding away at this thing, yeah.
And that's something that takes a lot of wisdom too. Like, I don't think you can just like go into like sculpting something, for example, with a chisel. Seems like something that you need to take a bunch of cracks at, because if you mess up, it breaks. The thing breaks, right? So
craftsmanship requires practice, and you start as an apprentice. So we're not talking about the apprenticeship here. We're talking about somebody who's got all those trophies up there. They've done multiple, craftsman pieces, so they're skilled. And
this could be like each of his channels that he's like, working on, like DSP Reacts, KO Gaming, whatever else he's got.
That's very fun. That's funny, because that's like a funny like corruption of the idea to me, because like in a way, when he was doing it, it actually was pretty prudent and wise to be making a bunch of YouTube channels like this, because that's the best way that he could have been generating money at that time, right?
Yeah.
And it also this feels less like a short-term quick thing that's happening. It feels more like, and I don't feel like with DSP there is much long-term planning, and okay, we put the schedule and we're doing this thing in 6 weeks, big event on the horizon, but like maybe it's an aspect of the scheduling, but scheduling is a very week-to-week basis as well. I think this has a more longer-term, slow, methodical, like you said, thoughtful aspect to it, so I find it more difficult to place in his world. But what you just described about different channels, Indrid, feels like it's a bigger, longer-term project.
Yeah,
I agree.
Cool.
I think that's actually a really great image, and it's like the image that I have is like a flower like blooming into harvest too. So I think that even still further just suggests the theme of the idea of like these things that you've cultivated through wisdom and prudence are bearing fruit or flowers or whatever, right?
And you kind of grind away
and
at them.
Sure, they used to bear a lot of fruit.
I'm also feeling
Not
like we're at, like, this card in some way represents episode 234 of a Skyrim playthrough, or like
yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
God.
When those things go really fucking long and it just becomes like an endless grind for nothing.
All these things are playthroughs, right? They're just things that he's just milking for money, and he's doing because he set the seed hundreds of hours ago. So this is the bountiful harvest. I've done it. Now for the farewell to Skyrim marathon stream, folks. Like
chipping away, grinding away.
Where's another 5
tips
parts?
are slow. This is a tips are slow day. This is.
Yeah.
And I do like the fact that these discs, like, in YouTube, you get those. You have your avatar for your channel, don't you? So he's got those circular avatars for the different channels. They would sit very nicely there. What's he doing instead of holding a stone hammer? What's he doing? Do you think instead? Because he could be working on something aspect of it.
I feel like he's like blowing bubbles or something, or he's like, no, but he's like crafting something. But he's like, maybe he's like, I don't know. I want to say he's like on his phone doing it, because
I was gonna say he's got his phone.
You might be making a thumbnail or something, but I don't know how you'd like make that into a picture. Because like working with a hammer, you can see what you're doing, but making a thumbnail, I mean, he doesn't even bother to do that, does he? Someone else does that for him. So
I was gonna say he could have his phone and he'd be texting somebody to like make the logo for him.
He's turned away from it. He's like texting.
Yeah.
There's someone else. There's there's Phil is like another character in this, but he's turned away and he's on his phone. And then there's literally maybe this guy is that guy who was making fan art for DSP. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he just has like a blurred face.
Because that's prudent, having someone else do the work for you, right?
I do quite like that.
Let someone else do it.
Quite like that. It's hard to depict them because we don't know what they look like, as Indrid said as well. But also, like this aspect of his playthrough, again, it would be a bit weak for him to just be sat there holding his controller or hold. Like the thing with the holding the phone or at the computer is we need to see what he's doing on the phone and doing on the computer a bit more figuratively and literally. we're somewhere close with that, like whatever it is this person's doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I got the image just now of like him using his phone to take a picture of like a screen, and like that's the thumbnail that he uses or something. That's very esoteric. And
maybe we could see. Maybe he could be pictured with his camera over his shoulder, controller, screen. Maybe it's back in the day a little bit, and he's got the the 3 items: the telly, the camera, and the controller.
Maybe him holding up some images, and he's taking a selfie of that. And there's a bunch of the other like. The DSP Reacts thumbnails are all basically the same, except they're like the most low effort garbage, like collection of random images on like a yellow background. So like all of these, like, what you're saying kind of struck me, the idea of like Skyrim. This could be like Skyrim 296, 295, 294, 293, 292, right? And it's just like him doing selfies of himself holding, like dressed in like the Skyrim helmet or something. Maybe that's it. They're all
that's good.
The discs are like thumbnails that are him of his head, and maybe he's like swapping the hats on and off or something and taking selfies. There's the hats all on the floor.
The thumbnails thing works nicely as well. In the you can see them one after the other on his channel, like when you scroll on the phone, like it would look like that list. The only thing that I really have trouble with is that Phil does not, like, this is an image of someone quietly working behind the scenes almost, working on thumbnails, coming up with ideas, and all this other stuff that you do for your streams. Not tidying my desk apparently, but like all this other stuff you do for streams. But he doesn't. The problem is Phil doesn't do that. Like, he's not doing any of that.
It should be Das Bodent then.
Yeah,
like
it should be.
It doesn't like we said, we're already okay with like bringing other characters in.
Absolutely,
and I think Phil just like not even being here is like, actually that's a really great way, because prudence and wisdom are like such antithetical qualities to DSP. Him not even being in this card is also like a little bit symbolic to me anyway. And the idea that Das Bodent is like working over like a hammer and a chisel making thumbnails for DSP, that's kind of funny to me. Like,
I like that.
Maybe he's like chiseling out, or like he's cutting shapes of DSP out of construction paper or something and like gluing it into the tree. I don't know.
I think we can keep the hammer and chisel, and you can just have a big thumbnail in front of him that he's working on. It's going to be hard to see on a smaller card, but it'll be interesting to see the way artists, draw out
the thing is, I think making it just like, it doesn't have to specifically be anyone, the person. I think the idea of it not being anyone specific actually lends more to the symbology of the card, because it's like we don't even know that it actually is Das bullshit making him. And apparently you were saying it was that chick doing the other
Emiri.
Right? Oh, Misery Merchant just put in a good idea too. Maybe that's him babysitting the uploads of his videos.
That's good too.
Like, these are all YouTube videos that have different progress bars, perhaps.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
I like that.
That'd be fun.
This has got lots
that's
of
a good
different
idea
choices now. Yeah,
That's
I like that.
Excellent suggestion.
And he could just be literally sitting there, arms folded, watching it, drinking gin.
Yeah. There you go.
There you go.
I like that.
What about the banhammer? He's holding the hammer. What about the banhammer?
Oh. And it's like
scanning people as he's doing it, not even looking.
Ban,
like
gone.
Okay, I'm happy to say that we've got 3 different choices for that one. Either his channels are depicted as trophies and he's doing some sort of grinding work for the channels, or Bullshit is making the thumbnails and there are several depicted and we're on like episode 258, or Phil is babysitting his uploads, and similarly there are uploads like stacking up.
Right.
I wonder if they'll do us a tarot deck with an extra 2 8 of Pentacles, so that we just have 3 of these.
There's 3 different ones.
Yeah.
That'll be in the US only version.
Yeah. Sorry, everyone else.
Right. Like that some of our images are just not appropriate for either for one or the other culture. So
How are you feeling? How are you feeling, my lovely guests? Indrid?
I feel great.
Not you. You're not the lovely
this is
guest.
good.
Indrid's the lovely guest. You're just. I'm going to come to you in a minute. But you both thought, because we've done 2.5 hours. If we push on for another half hour and do 3 hours and get to where we get to in this suit, does that feel all right to you guys? And girl, you're a girl, you're not guys.
I can go for about another half hour, and then I'm gonna take my mom somewhere.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we can stop it. That's what I'm asking you now. Is it's appropriate after 2.5 hours to be like, we can call it a day here if you need to? Like, Should we do one or two more cards? I mean, because we've got 8,
Either
9,
or.
it goes 10, page, knight, it goes up queen, king. We're not going to get to the king and, you know, all that. That'll be quite a lot, I think. So
Right.
maybe we do, the next one is the 10. No, we do the 9 and the
No,
10.
we're on 9. We're on
Yeah,
9.
maybe we do
9.
9 and 10 and then save the page, the knight and the thing for the next one, maybe. See where we get to after 9 and 10, yeah?
Let's do the 9 and the 10, and then we can save the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the
Okay.
9, yeah? And it's a woman with a bird
Yeah.
on her wrist. She stands amidst a great abundance of grapevines in the garden of a manorial house. It's a wide domain, suggesting plenty in all things. Possibly it's her own possession and testifies to material well-being. She sounds like she's having a good time. Indrid?
She does. Divinatory meetings, prudence, safety, success, accomplishment, certitude, discernment, reversed, roguery, deception, voided project, bad faith.
The reversed ones, we could almost have a set of reversed cards, couldn't we? Like, it feels like they're two
Almost,
different.
yeah.
Like, you know, I could feel John Rambo on the reverse side, but what about
Yeah.
the dark arts, Snood? What does the dark arts say?
This sort of represents like organization and like nailing something, like hitting the bullseye in terms of like physical profit, benefit, gain, in all our areas of our life. So there's physical profit, benefit, and gain emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. There's like 5 of them there. Jeez. So this one seems to indicate that gain is here, and it comes with the unification of like your wisdom with your creativity, and there's a lot going on here. So what I'm getting is that like the organization and systemization of your life is what is leading towards your success. So it's a success by like basically like mastering something, like being perfectly organized, hitting something on the mark, right? Bullseye.
Yeah. Misery Merchant said, so like when he won 4th place in Evo.
Just being exactly as good as he needed to be.
It's interesting that the additional meanings listed here, it says prompt fulfillment of what's presaged by neighbouring cards and reversed vain hopes. So if I got it in a reading and I'd got something about work or something else, and then this came out, I'd be like, oh, this is good for you because this has come out, which means it's all going to come out well. It's going to, you know, work out well for you, and you're going to get all that, you know, domain and abundance at the end of it. But if it was in reversed, I'd be like, oh no, sadly, this is not going to work out well for you. You know, this represents that final success and reaping the rewards, the bounty, the grapes are in fruit, you know, the bird is on the wrist, not in the bush. I've got it all. I'm you know, collected my winnings, so to speak. I'm feeling
Yeah.
I mean, specifically gain is the issue at hand here, and that can be either weight or money. Apparently, like
weight or money.
Yeah,
as long as you attempt to
weight.
gain weight, maybe not if you like. I suppose if you've drawn a couple of cards that are about the body and you're asking about your physical health, and then this came out, you might say it's about you're going to get fat.
It could be. I mean, it depends on if that's a good thing for you. Whatever is that would lead to the most gain for you, and like, you know, you could gain by losing weight because you landed a modeling job or something like that, right?
Yeah. Or you have a tapeworm.
That too. But just the idea of like benefit and again, I keep seeing gain in here.
Yeah. It seems like it's not a bad card though.
Well, none of them are
really
bad cards.
No, but like it seems pretty good. Seems pretty decent, you know.
Like I hesitate to make this joke, but the idea of gain, you know,
cat
is this no, I would never say something like that. That's horrible. But now that you've suggested it, it's the only thing I can think about. So thanks a lot. But you know, the picture of DSP and his wife just like in the parking lot, like that's gain in that, like, I've gained my wife and she's gained a lot of weight, some weight. And I mean, he even also talks about like gaining weight and losing weight and how he used to be a fat ass and he used to be so unhealthy, right? But for all intents and purposes, he basically looks the same, except now that he has a goatee, so his face doesn't look as fat, right?
Yeah.
What about
does.
have you
Oh
ever
my
heard this
God.
quote? We have no butter, but I ask you, would you rather have butter or guns? Preparedness makes us powerful. Butter merely makes us fat.
Interesting.
I've never
That's-
heard that.
That's
but
Hermann
Winston
Goering,
Churchill?
famous Nazi.
Oh.
Hermann Goering, where he was
Isaac
trying to
Himmler.
convince people that you didn't want to have good things in your life, that we should build an army instead. So, butter
Oh,
makes us
okay.
fat.
Okay.
Good
Gotcha.
good, I mean, presumably good things will come after we have the army, right? Like after we don't
Right.
need the army, you'll break that up and will give us the rest of the right.
Yeah.
The other quotes that were on that
Oh,
list,
really?
which I've now closed that website, but the other quotes that were on that list involved some pretty bad things about Jews, so I don't think it worked out well
What
for
the?
everyone.
Oh.
So yeah, but the Nine of Pentacles, we're talking about like the fat of the land, aren't we? We're talking about this abundance, this
Right.
growth. Yeah, like you both
Tangible
put
and
forward.
I
external
mean-
gain.
We're seeing a female as well. It's specifically said it's a woman with a bird on her wrist.
Yes, there is a
And-
specific. This is specifically connected to Virgo, too, and it is like specifically a feminine, influence or whatever. All I can think of is Cat. Like just
Yeah.
the idea of like
Yeah.
becoming married to her is a gain for him, right? Like he literally like talked about her as like an income source at some point.
But also,
right?
I see her in her element here. Like people say that Kat benefits from her relationship with Phil because she gets to sit in that room and play Skyrim, and she gets a DoorDash. And like here, this woman appears to be, all things brought to the bird on the wrist. The DoorDash is coming to me.
Oh my God.
she's,
It's just Cat.
Yeah, it's like
all
so
it
Cat's
is.
the woman, Jasper's on her wrist. The robe
Yeah.
instead of the male symbol, it has the DSP Gaming YouTube logo all over it.
Yeah.
The Pentacles are again like just different copies of Skyrim, like limited edition,
Yeah.
extended edition,
Oh,
whatever,
she
Todd
got-
Howard
yeah,
could be behind
lovely.
her.
right? And then it's just like in the back, just
Skyrim.
DoorDash, like piling
Yeah.
up,
Oh, I love that. That's so easy.
right?
Yeah, it kind of works. I would ask as well. I'm asking exactly the right people here. What about Panda? Is there any way this represents Panda, or is that wrong?
It could
Panda-
be her now surrounded by good things, like actual good things.
I mean, back then, did she
her
have a
new
lot of good things?
fiancé.
Would this picture
She
also?
had her soap.
She had her soap. I love it. But do you know what I mean? Like they went on the holiday, and they, he sort of had a lot of money, and like she kind of had the same setup, didn't she? Whatever she wanted, she lived in Phil's house. He was paying for the stuff. Or I feel like Kat fits the bill better, but I just wanted to open that up before we.
She does.
Panda represents loss to me.
Yeah, I think the same.
Not gain.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think this is absolutely Cat.
Little Queen Cat, then she's
All right,
got all the
I mean,
bits and
easy
pieces
as that.
around her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any other things that Cat might have before I just that the artist might want to, or that maybe they can think of it themselves? These grapes could be
A
cherries.
path of broken appliances, like leading up to where she's
Yes.
standing.
In
Like
this picture,
puddles
there's a
of water,
snail.
maybe some
the snail's
ants.
trodden on and broken.
Yeah.
Cherries aren't really
like
representative
a
of
line of ants.
Cat, but if there's grapes are useless, but cherries make sense, don't they? So,
Cherries would make sense. Yeah.
Yep.
I like
we
that too.
And then the Ten of Pentacles. Let's get onto this one then. This has gone really well though. Like the Pentacles so far have all just absolutely dropped into place, haven't they? Like, so let's see if this one will do the same. A man and a woman beneath an archway which gives entrance to a house and domain. They're accompanied by a child who looks curiously at two dogs accosting an ancient personage seated in the foreground. The child's hand is on one of them. What?
Interesting. That is an old man in the picture. That's not a child. Is that a child? That's an old man.
You've got an old man here, and then you've got a child.
Oh wait, never. I
hiding-
see the kid. I see
Yeah,
the kid.
and he's
Okay,
touching the
I
dog
thought it
there.
was calling the old man a child.
He's
All right.
peeking around and touching the little
Divinatory
dog.
reading.
And yeah, what does it actually mean? Yeah.
Gain, riches, family matters, archives, extradition, the abode of a family. Reversed. Chance, fatality, loss, robbery, games of hazard, sometimes gift, dowry, pension. Blah, blah,
Dowry or pension is interesting.
Yeah.
Family matters.
It's kind of
then.
interesting.
Like dowries are family matters, aren't they? Pensions are family.
Yeah.
Like it's like part of the different ages in the family and the different aspects of finance coming into family matters, maybe. Yeah. Also, you mentioned archives, extraction,
Extradition.
Sorry.
Extradition.
Yeah. Okay. That's a word.
Yeah.
Snood, tell me about the dark art. I'm feeling my way around what I think it sort of means. It's family money.
Right.
And,
Listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I feel like in these last 3 or 4, Aleister Crowley has been kind of phoning it in here, because this one again is about wealth, riches, abundance, prosperity. You know,
Oh my God.
they all are in a way, aren't they? The Pentacles, but in slightly different nuances of it.
Yeah, this is wealth on every level of consciousness: mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, and physical wealth, which is made tangible by the external reality. By utilizing communication, healing, and inspirational gifts, we can manifest abundance in a tangible way. So this is about communication, really. This is about like manifesting wealth through the power of your communication, because the Ten of Pentacles represents Mercury in Virgo. So Mercury is the planet that most represents communication. It's the one closest to the star, to the sun, and it also represents the magician, who is also related to communication. And basically, like what you were saying about this being like related to like family stuff too, I think that is the level of communication, like the idea of like, because it does talk about inheritance or unexpected prosperity. So to me, like communication, like what is a will other than communication? Like official, like, hey, this is what happens when I can't speak anymore, right? And so like the idea of like an inheritance sort of being an aspect of this.
Okay.
Misery Merchant in chat says tens in tarot is completion, and it's when you actually make it and complete it and you can enjoy the fruits of the labor. But I find that to be disconnected to Phil, because he never ever finishes getting his fucking tips. It's never it's a black hole. But yeah,
but that does lend itself to a thinking that I was having earlier, that I think the one thing that would stop DSP from streaming would be that he didn't need to do it anymore. And when he didn't need to do it anymore is when his parents die and leave him whatever they're going to leave
literal inheritance,
right?
Literal inheritance.
And so that, to me, that like, I think when that happens, we'll hear that DSP is going to be like, I'm taking the next day off to go visit my parents in the hospital, but I'll try to do a phone stream from the hospital in case you guys want a tip. And then, you know, if we read in the obituary the next day that his parents had died, we'd never see him online again, ever.
No,
I was
quite sure of that. Like,
you know, recently you said he had to do a lot of driving and he had these like, you know, problems behind the scenes. A lot of people think it's connected to Cat, and I'm open to that idea, but I don't want to make this too time sensitive. I want this to be an eternal episode, so I shouldn't really talk about specific matters too much like this. But the idea of his parents, I thought it might be that one of his parents maybe had suffered, like if his mom had like a big stroke, and so he was needed to go and deal with some stuff, but she wasn't like, I thought maybe death in the family, but maybe not full death in the family, like maybe change of circumstance in the family, and so he had, you know, like the grieving process of feeling bad about it, but he was, you know, like, you know, didn't want to talk about it on stream because people would just take the piss, and then maybe, you know, the inheritance had been drained by that process in some way as well, and he was feeling down about that.
I mean, what you're describing to me sounds like the whole charade of him going to do the wedding, basically. You know, like, and because that also did end in him borrowing money from his mother to pay for his taxes or whatever. And you know, I'd
said this a load of times, but for me, that is, he turned up at home and he said, "This is me and Kat," and his mom said, "Oh, are you going to get married? Because we've been saving some money for your wedding." And he said, "How much?" And he said, "Well, we've got about 17 grand." And he's like, "Right, well, I'll have that now. We'll get married now." And she's like, "Yeah, but I'm saving it to send you some. You can go to Niagara Falls on your honeymoon." And he's like, "No, we don't need to go on honeymoon. Just give me the cash. We're getting married now, so that money's mine." No, you just said it was mine. You said it was for the wedding. So now that we're married, I have to have it. You know, I felt it might have gone a bit that way. But I could also picture in this image, like you just described, I could picture the wedding couple, like that photograph. I could also picture this man being elderly relative, but also old Phil on the style of Snort Hogan's thumbnails. Old Phil. See,
I get that interpretation. I still kind of feel like the couple might even be his parents, right? And he's the child
Yep.
who has brought
Yep.
home his wife there, you know, like
That's exactly what I was thinking.
the dogs are the cats that his mom has, right? Maybe there's 10 cats for the 10 of Pentacles or something.
Yes.
Like, but like this is like Phil like proposing the idea of getting married to pay his taxes to his mother or something, or like, you know, the 10-year dude, the 10-year plan. Oh
10-year
my
plan.
god,
Oh.
easy.
It's the 10-year
Yes.
plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Represented
That's
in
so
all
good.
these forms, isn't it? Yeah. The wedding, the
Yeah.
Yep.
intent.
That's where the
even-
10-year plan was formed. That's
like
where
the,
the 10-year plan
the
was
hiding
formed.
child as well is quite
Yeah, the
interesting
wedding.
because Phil doesn't have a child, but he's got a Jasper. But the fact that the child is like peeking out and maybe, you know, touch like it maybe it been a possibility or a, you know, a tease of a child maybe in the future, Mom. You know, maybe
Yep.
we'll get right, but it never happened. Like, and I can see this sort of ages of
I like that.
There's a sort of like step by step in this, isn't there? You've got the old, the young, the background. Like there's like these ages, this like continuation of time, and the 10-year plan sits really nicely with that as well. Yeah, I'm going to write 10. I don't know how.
Yeah.
Tell me, you two, tell me now how you best think to illustrate the 10-year plan again, so that it's clear in my
Well,
mind
I
and
think
that of an
it's
artist. Yeah.
I think it's a scene of them at his parents' house. Or you've got, you know, DSP, Linda, and then Kat is over here or something, and they're all just about to go get married.
He's wearing the suit and she's got the thing on.
I think so, yeah.
If I wanted to get a little bit more like obscure and symbolic, I would put the two hands together showing the wedding rings with Kat's like fingernails done with the Tipex and the single gold Sharpie nail, right?
Yeah.
10 fingers. Each of those are towers. Each finger is a tower. You know, you got the rings, which are discs in a way.
I can see your card,
just
Snood. I can
works.
picture it in a totally different, like you're looking at like a close up of some hands, and like you've got more abstract collage-y.
I mean, that collage of his pictures from the wedding could be it. I mean, that.
Also, I gotta run in about 5 minutes. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
this is the last card. This is the last
Yeah,
card.
this is it.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
So sign off whenever you fucking need to,
Sorry.
you choffer. But thank you very much for being here, and you are also expected next week as well. So I really, really
Yes.
appreciate you
At
doing
what
this.
time exactly?
7 in the UK. Like, get that in your head. Yeah, I really appreciate you doing this, Indrid. It's fantastic to have you here.
Yeah.
Did someone retract some messages there? I didn't see or why. You don't need to retract messages unless you feel like you've done something bad. But I don't worry. I'm getting distracted. Yeah, so we are agreed on this card, aren't we? That it's the 10-year plan. It's the wedding.
Yes.
It's symbology of that 10-year plan into the future. It's the rings. It's Jasper, maybe.
It's a sheet of paper that says step 1 question mark, step 2 get job. Like,
Yeah.
Interestingly,
I like
on this
that.
card, there's a load of pentacles. Like, there's a load of these coins just like stuck on top. Like, are we going to sort of
Yeah.
bin them off and not need that symbology of those, or do we represent them in some way as part of the 10-year plan? Or is each one a year, or is each one like a calendar page?
I mean, I
fluttering in
think-
the
I
It
think
could be
wind,
a
or-
step.
like
It could be
year.
a year.
The
Yeah.
page a day calendar that indicating. I mean, what's Anne's countdown? That year, that day is approaching. Anne's countdown is like under 6 years now, I believe.
Yep.
What do those? So the coins are, and the slices from trees represent the abundance found on Earth. So, I mean, somehow you'd have to indicate that this is the abundance found on Earth from his parents. So, like, maybe they're all
money, yeah,
Money.
yeah,
Yeah.
money. So
Money.
this is like my favorite kind of rain, when money rains down from the sky, and you get rain
Exactly.
down. That's what it is. Is they're in the same way as with a wedding, you'd be thrown confetti. They are under a waving rain of money.
That's good.
Bill's parents are throwing money the way that like you would throw rice at a parade or
Yeah,
something.
like $10
Yeah.
bills,
at a wedding.
or the dollar bills, the money. Yeah,
Yep.
it's raining.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it just I can
There's got to
picture
be
it
a
already.
calendar for 2035 or whatever the 10 years, like 2028.
I think it was like
2028 is what it would be.
2028. Oh, that's
Right.
in 5 years.
Bloody hell. 2028.
Oh, it's coming, Phil. It's coming.
It's coming for all of us. Calendar. is I feel there's a chance that I could have a baby before Phil does, but
There you go.
Probably.
Don't look at me.
So
Me too.
what we're gonna do is we've got the Page, the Knight, and the Queen. They start with them next week, and we'll just see how time goes.
Yeah.
And we've also got the next two. We've probably got like 3 or 4 more of these streams maybe to clear. We've got the Major Arcana as well, but it's going really well. I'm surprised today. I'll tell you what, I'm amazed by how easily Phil's life sits across these cards. Do you think, as a final question, if you've got to go, you've got to go, Ingrid, but as a final question,
I
sort of sign off, do you think that this is because the cards are greatly reflective of all of our human lives, or do you think it's because Phil has some sort of really twisted life that fits well with cards?
I think it's kind of both. What's crazy, like, I don't know if you've ever seen BoJack Horseman, but he's like a really screwed up character, but people tend to identify with him a lot because he's got so many shitty qualities that you can identify with at least one of them. So Phil's got all of these shitty things happening all the time. And so all of these cards, it's bound to match up with one of them. Or like, I mean, or the stories from his past, like the good things that have happened, it feels like that to me.
Snood?
I would say that if you streamed 8 hours of every day of your life, or 6 out of 7 days of every week of your life, we'd probably have a lot of footage and stuff that you've told us that we could say, oh, this is like when he was talking about this, or when he was talking about that.
Yeah.
So like knowing so much about him, it's easy to map these sort of like general qualities onto him. Because like you sort of like think about like, again, like, it's about your intuition, and it's about what you get or how it speaks to you, and that's just how it speaks to us. I think you could probably do this about any famous person, really, if you really, really wanted to, and you knew a lot about them.
Yeah.
Maybe
I gotta run, but you guys
Thank you,
have
Ingrid.
fun with the last few minutes, and this was fun, and I'm excited for next week.
Yeah, I'll see you next week.
It'll be good.
You be good, and if you can't be good, you're naughty. Bye.
Thank you for joining us, Ingrid Cold. This has been a great show, hasn't it, Super Chuffer? I'm so glad to have her on the show, and frankly, I'm just joking. Sorry.
Just joking. No, I don't like having Ingrid on.
I thought you'd find that funnier sooner.
I thought you were being serious. I thought you were taking.
No, come on.
Doing the show again. No, it's just fine. It's fine. I'm going to play a little bit of Darksydephil talking about tarot cards for a second. It's my favourite one of him talking about them. So
Let's go.
How
have you felt about this? How have you felt about this process? What's your takeaway from this so far?
I'm really pleased that I'm learning about I actually feel that this sort of way of learning about it, when the cards come out, I will say, oh, I remember this one's about Phil and his thing. And, it'll click in my brain as to what it means. So I'll be able to do better readings in the future. And I feel personally that the reason these cards relate to Phil so well is I agree with you about the number of things we've learned about Phil over his life. But I also kind of feel that it's that... I think that Phil has, in some way, we'll see with the other suits. I might not be right with the other suits, but like financial things, like not all of us have gone through all these. We didn't talk about maybe the final 3 cards in this suit will have something to do with the bankruptcy, but like we've not all been through a bankruptcy. We've not all struggled in these different ways, and to some people, like their work life, their finance might be a bit more stable, might be a bit more normal, and might not easily apply to all these cards. So I think Phil is a bit of an extraordinary character in some ways that the cards themselves highlight, at sort of extremes. If he wasn't so extreme in ways, the cards wouldn't pick it up. He wouldn't attach them so easily. Yeah.
Well, exactly. And I mean, like, again, if we weren't talking about this dude for over a decade, it would probably be a lot harder to attribute a lot of these things to him, because we just didn't know as much, or like you didn't see as much of his personality.
I wonder if there's things that we don't know behind the scenes that would make better cards for some of them then.
I would give anything to see what he is like when he doesn't know he's being watched, or he doesn't think he's being watched. I would give... Do
you think he's much different? I can't see him actually being... Like, I know that he plays a character and a clown on stream or whatever, but that when he's in PetSmart and he's waiting at the counter and he's angry and he's eggy because he's tired, and like he's going to be Phil. Like, he gives people that shit on the phone, like, where's my internet, you chuffer? And like, I think like we get to see so much of him that you do see what.
But that's what I'm saying. I think being on camera tempers him a little bit. I think, like, you know, he does have his moments of explosive, like, buffoonery, but I think even those are tempered from how he really wants to behave, and he knows that, but he's like held back from the fear of being made fun of, right? Like, so he kind of keeps himself. I think he keeps himself in check a lot when he's on camera, and he has cracks, and they come at certain times of days. But I just want to see how he interacts. He talks to someone who he has to show respect for, or who he can't ban on the site. You know, like.
I used to work as a hairdresser, and I saw a lot of people. You get a little bit more in depth with some of them, depending on how long and how frequently you see them. But I do know that there are a lot of people that maybe like the fourth time you cut their hair, they mention something, and then you start talking, and you think, "Wow, I didn't really know this about them." So I think Phil could pass under the radar for a lot of people. Like if you just work in the garage, or you just work in this, but he's just some guy that came in and was a bit funny. But
did you see that guy? Did you see the way that guy was walking earlier? He was like an 80-year-old man. Like,
did he waddle?
Yeah. Why is he?
You could, like, you know, you could quite conceivably meet Phil in the street and not you know, get all this deeper insight into him. Yeah. Unless he's wearing his Sonic pajamas. Colin asks, if you have your card done, is this the future? Can it be changed? Snood, can I ask you before? I didn't realise you were going to come with such interesting knowledge about this stuff. Do you believe in tarot cards? Do you have like prior engagement with them?
I find it extremely interesting to read what people have like been taking as sort of like these ancient iconographies and these very, very like old symbols, and like, you know, making their own connections. And I find that all very fascinating, you know. I wouldn't say...
You're Canadian, not American, so you can't fall into the trap of thinking that these things are too old, though, because the tarot cards were developed in like the 1500s, weren't they? Like, you know, like...
I think the study of them goes back that far, but I think it goes, like, I mean, you know, people have been looking at the stars for how long?
The stars and certain symbols, maybe death... You know, the Wheel of Fortune, maybe, but like the Two of Clubs or like the Four of Cups, like that's what I would call. I don't call it modern because like 1500, you're talking about Shakespeare's time and stuff like that, though. But back then, Shakespeare would have had a deck of cards like this, and they would have just played a game in the pub. They wouldn't have like, you know, turned it into a divination tool until later.
It is kind of funny to think that in like 1,000 years, someone's just going to be like, "Oh shit, the Seven of Hearts, fuck,
yeah,
you're fucked now, man." But you know. If you think about it, the suits cards kind of match the suits, right? You got the discs, you got the swords, you got the sticks, the clubs.
So my question really is, do you believe in it enough to be able to answer Colin's question as to whether this is a real prediction of the future that should be held in stone, or is it something that can be changed?
It's not a prediction of the future. It is supposed
you know, it's my first question. Are you a tarot magic man, and do you therefore have answers to these questions, or do you just think it's nothing and it's rubbish, and you're just reading like what you have learned about it?
The latter for sure. The latter for sure. I don't genuinely believe that you can predict one's fortune. However, I do believe that they're a very useful reflection tool. You know, especially because you can be given. It's a thing that you can be given in like a random way. And you can be shown something, and you can reflect on like the things that you're being shown. You can reflect on why you're being shown those things too, and like how. And even if that doesn't, like, they don't totally fit into your current situation, like it's just something. It's just an exercise. It's like a mental thing that you can look and say, "Hey, I wonder if this part of my personality or this aspect of my life is where I want it to be." Let's think about that for a second, and however that like grounds you as a person, and however that helps you deal with certain things. I think that's like it's just like Vipassana yoga, and like how it's all about what you get out of it, right? You take what you want, you leave out the rest, in my opinion.
Bosie's answered Colin's question as well in chat that they're for guidance mainly, unless they tell a particular story or event. Often a tarot reading will ask you to simply watch how you react to events as they unfold. So don't, if you get told that. Oh, big ups, Karen. Thank you very much.
Karen sent tippies. Interesting stuff again. Your creative minds work well together. Look forward to more great content. Super Chuffer owes 10 hugs.
Thank you, Karen. The temptation for me to say, now that Indrid is off the channel, the intelligent minds can start talking, is incredible.
I'm not
going to. I'm not dissing her. But yeah, Snood is a smart chappy as well, catty chappy. And we should definitely have more Snood on in the future for sure. I'm going to play this little bit of him saying this, because otherwise it will be in my windpipe the whole time.
Who the hell is this? I don't know who this character is. I've never seen her before.
Okay.
A tarot card. She's practicing black magic. It's voodoo. Tarot cards. This is terrible to teach your kids. What about good Christian upbringing?
Sweet.
See?
So there you go. Sonic is black magic.
Sonic the Hedgehog is black voodoo magic.
So there you go. I just thought we'd have to have a clip of the fella, you know. Yeah, we've done a good show today. I'm quite prepared to sign you off. Unless you want to continue talking randomly about tarot cards and Darksydephil for a little bit. You tell me.
I mean, you know what? I'm good, but I'm happy to chill out for a little while longer too. You know, I love talking about DSP and you know whatever. But I'm also happy to free you from the bonds of this conversation and any other future thoughts of DSP at a moment's notice. So
now you don't want to be in charge.
I'm going to say something I never thought I'd say. It's your show.
Yeah, I was going to say. Now all of a sudden you don't want to be in charge. Now all of a sudden I passed you the baton at the important moment. Now it's all gone in the bin. Now Scotty has to.
The reluctant leader. Yeah. The emperor.
We have got other detractors out there in the world, haven't we? Let me just quickly check YouTube and see if there is anyone else live as we speak. Riley's Odyssey is restreaming Phil, so
let's go.
Let's
big ups.
You can. I'm going to put her in chat.
I have a gaming laptop too, which I think comes with like the Xbox.
She's another detractor. I just came up randomly, so don't anyone think that I gave any special favoritism. But I'm going to pop her in the chat there, so you can go over there if you want. Also, you can watch other videos on this channel. You can watch the previous things that we've done about the tarot. You can watch Detractor Beam, which Snood is.
I would not recommend that, but if you would like to, by all means. I haven't discussed this with Injured Cold, but I would recommend avoiding the Detractor Beam stream at all costs.
This is you and Indrid, isn't it, Detractor Beam? Because sometimes
correct.
I @ Detractor Beam on Twitter, and I feel like I'm talking more to Indrid because she controls the Twitter, but.
Yeah, if you're ever looking for a direct forced access to Indrid Cole, just @ Beam Detractor on Twitter, and then she is forced to talk to you. That's the deal that we made.
Steve the Dead's
Faustian
channel,
bargain we forged.
Steve the Dead's channel is here, but you shouldn't watch that because he didn't come on tonight.
Get him
of
out
course
of
you should watch Steve the Dead. I'm the Super Chuffer. This is my B-side channel, Battery Exhausted. We've got I tell you what, we have got such a big week coming up. Oh my god, I'm going to drop an Alan video and people are going to lose their shit. And then
I can't wait to see that.
Then we've got Nicola Bully's. I'm dropping 2 Schofield videos this week as soon as YouTube clears them. And then Nicola Bully's inquest is coming on Monday. And then I've got to talk about Nicola Bully case next week. Following that, we've got an episode of Thus that's going to be about depression. Following that, we've got an episode of Thus which is going to feature an occultist who has been learning about the devil in Shropshire. So I've got loads of stuff lined up on our end. I'm really grateful to you in chat. All the tippies, I say thank you for that. Misery Merchant, thank you for your insight. Thank you everyone else that's turned up. If you're watching this on demand and you haven't left a comment, there's basically something wrong with you. And, you know, what more can we do?
Stealing content, basically.
Yeah. But yeah, I will sign us off because we've had 3 hours of all this good stuff. And like, you are now a favourite in our chat, so we'll get you back for a bit of an episode. What are your specialist subjects? So I will now, even though I just said all that, this is what I do for every stream. I say, I'm going to finish, and then I don't finish. What are your specialist subjects, Snood? What sort of things would you like to elaborate on and elucidate us on?
I mean, I really enjoy the crime streams that I've seen you on. I don't fully understand the Nicola Bully thing. I'd love to be exposed to that.
She got they murdered her. They had a work meeting. They murdered her.
I heard they murdered her. They hit her in the stream. I'm sorry, that's extremely disrespectful. I
did it.
I'm really into this armchair detective fellow. I'm really that's my expertise is trolling people online for their narcissism. So,
what about in your? I don't want to ask you to directly about your private life, but do you play World of Warcraft? Do you?
I do play World of Warcraft. I don't do too much.
That was a guess.
Life.
That was a guess. I think I might have asked you about it before. That was a guess. I was just trying to think of an example of hobbies or things that you're interested in that you've been doing over the years that you might have a chit chat.
Recently got into miniature painting myself.
Miniature painting yourself, like a miniature of yourself.
That's right. I mean, what do you think I'm talking?
Painting yourself in miniature.
You find something on you that's miniature and you paint it. Okay, there's nothing weird about that. No, I'm talking about like, little figgies, little Warhammer guys. I recently got into painting those things. I've been like kind of getting into sculpting in that same way. I've been learning to like work with clay and stuff. And I've been thinking about how I can like start putting that on YouTube because I really enjoy the sculpting process. And I kind of want to get that a little bit more into that once I got some more space and some more time, but right now, both of those things are lacking. Okay,
I thought a concept for you, right? Stop motion photography, right? You get the camera and it takes a photograph every, say, 10 seconds, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so what you do is you put your sculpture thing on there, and then you set the camera up, and then you start working, and every 10 seconds you have to quickly get out of the way while it takes the photo, and then you'll
see how many times I get hit by it.
Yeah, you got to work fast as well, because you got to keep, you can't sit there and ponder. You got every 10 seconds there's another photograph coming, and you've got to be there with another move, another cut, another sculpt. So
that sounds very stressful, but I like that. I like
that adding the stress into your hobbies like that you didn't.
Yeah, that's what, and also I should monetize it so that I really enjoy it. That's a good idea. I think
this sculpting stream has been slow to support this week. So
if you guys want to keep seeing me do this, I really need the help right now. Okay,
I won't be fashioning this bust unless we get any more tips. Frankly,
I spent a lot of money moving across the country so that I would have access to the more moist Washington State clay, and frankly, you guys really have not been keeping up with the cost of support here. So.
Yeah. Oh, good. Well, none of those things sounded like a good idea for a big conversation in the future, so you're not getting in this episode yourself. We're not going to be talking about clay for fucking weeks.
Frankly, you're better off without me. You're better off without me anyway.
We're going to be having you back next week for this, okay? So you remember that this is happening. Everyone else in chat, you remember it's happening. Snoodle, stay on while I just press, bin you off on the internet. You're getting binned off, but me and Snood, we're going to continue chatting. So you be good, my little podcast, remember, and if you can't be good, you're naughty.